I'm in GT, my brother is Broly. Chapter 301 Refuse to be an angel, the stimulated gods of destruction. Hearing this, Vados glanced at Champa and said, Lord Champa, this is really possible. As Weiss said before, in the ancient times, the angel family was cultivated by countless strong people. It is precisely because they have completed their own life evolution. Everyone's breath and genes are almost similar, that's why they gathered together to build a huge angel family. 39. Having said this, Vados paused before continuing. But since the disaster in the ancient times, the number of powerhouses in the universe has rapidly decreased. This also caused the angel family to only multiply internally, thus giving birth to clansmen. This type of angel also has a huge limitation, that is, it will be more difficult to cross the shackles of life. But for an existence like Mr. Bupa, once he becomes an angel in the true sense, it will be much easier for him to improve himself again, and even easier to reach the peak. Hearing this, Champa was completely silent. Beerus also quieted down. Come on, nothing else. Because from this point of view, Bupa's existence is really a special existence. Although he has not yet become a god, but once he succeeds, he will surpass God and become a more powerful angel. For a while, the atmosphere in the arena became somewhat deadly, even depressing. Cough cough. At this time, Bupa also woke up like a dream, looked at Weiss and Vados and said, being an angel is indeed a big temptation, but unfortunately I don't have much expectations for it. Super Saiyan Tier 3 is certainly powerful. The temptation to become an angel is huge. But all this was not enough for Bupa. Once you become an angel, you must encounter Zeno's control, and even the entire angel family. Rather than being self-proclaimed king and unfettered, Bupa would never have chosen to be subordinate to the rest. The most important thing is that he can completely cultivate himself to become stronger, even surpassing angel and grand priest. But if you become an angel, you will completely give up your own future. What? I don't want to be an angel. Hearing this, Vados, Weiss, Beerus, and Champa were all stunned, and looked at Bupa in disbelief, their eyes full of incredible colors. Not only them, but also Kefla and others on the side looked at Bupa in amazement. Angel. That is a more powerful existence than gods of destruction. Bupa now says that she doesn't want to be an angel, which shocks them all. Nothing is impossible. In this regard, Bupa's expression is indifferent. Angel is good, but it means nothing to him. Thinking of this, Bupa immediately changed the subject and said, let's continue to watch the battle. I don't have much interest in being an angel, and this Super Saiyan God form is not stronger than my Quan Jiao bloodline, so it doesn't make any sense for me to continue cultivating. 99. Gudu. Hearing this, Son Gohan and the others on the side couldn't help swallowing. Both Champa and Beerus looked at Bupa with some jealousy at the moment. Listen, is this still human? Ordinary people can say such words. Even gods dare not say that they do not want to be angels. But as of now, they can't say anything. After all, that was Bupa's choice. They are not Bupa, and there is no stronger means than being an angel, and even being an angel is almost impossible. Thinking of this, Beerus and Champa looked at each other, both determined to improve their situation as soon as possible after this. Even strive to transcend the boundaries of gods of destruction as soon as possible and become Xenogods. Although that will also lose a lot of freedom, but it can also make them stronger. Otherwise, when Bupa rises, it will surely surpass himself and others. Even Saiyan within the 6th and 7th universes may surpass them. After all, Bupa's Super Saiyan God form can become a child angel. That means that once the rest of Saiyan get to that point, that might also become a sub-angel. Therefore, Beerus and Champa also felt some sense of urgency for the improvement of their own strength. Husband, then do I also need to practice this? At this time, Kefla, who was on the side, stepped forward and asked cautiously. After all, she felt that Jiao Sai God was more suitable for her. 0 flowers. But Bupa actually said that Shi Shan is not as good as Quan Jiao, which made her quite entangled and confused. You don't have to struggle with that. 35. Hearing this, Bupa glanced at Kefla and then said, your Quan Jiao bloodline is only medium. In such a situation, cultivating the Jiao Sai God is more suitable for you. Unless your bloodline can evolve into a superior Quan Jiao bloodline, then Quan Jiao's power will undergo earth-shaking changes. I see. After listening to Bupa's remarks, Kai was suddenly struck. He already understood the reason for this incident, and also understood the difference between himself and Bupa. Thinking of this, Kelton said immediately, I know my husband, then I will continue to practice the power of Jiao Sai God. 0. And I feel that my superpower can be combined with it, although it is a little difficult. Once it is completed, it will definitely be stronger. Nodding his head, Bupa said, if you can combine Quan Jiao and Jiao Sai God, then there is no doubt that your Jiao Sai God will far surpass everyone else. After the battle is over, I can give you a drop of my blood essence, and you can try to see if you can integrate the essence and blood into yourself. As long as you can refine my blood essence, you can also become stronger at that time, and may even lead to the evolution of your own bloodline. Bloodline evolution. Hearing this, Kai's eyes lit up. But Bupa just said that the super bloodline of the superheroes is a completely earth-shaking change. If his bloodline can become stronger again, does that mean that there is still more potential to tap? Thinking of this, Kai suddenly said, I know my husband, I will listen to you. Husband. 9. At this time, Kefla stepped forward and said expectantly, then can I also refine your blood essence and transform into Quinko? Although the power of Super Saiyan God is powerful, but Kefla also prefers Quinko form. After all, the superposition of Anger State and Quinko is indeed terrifying. No. In response, Bupa shook his head, looked at Kefla and said, your blood is not Quinko. Even if you refine my blood essence, you can't become a powerful Quinko. On the contrary, if you can become the bloodline of the Super Saiyan God, then you will become stronger, even. 7. Chapter 302 Gabe's defeat. The first killer appears. Having said that, Bupa did not go on. Super Saiyan bloodline. It's not something you can get casually unless you use the Super Dragon Ball. But after using this thing this time, he will take one away, which means that Super Shenron is almost impossible to summon, unless Super Saiyan bloodline. What is that? Is it powerful? Kefla looked at Bupa in confusion, her eyes full of doubts. She knew about Joushin. After all, everyone's transformation now looks like Joushin. But what is this Kashin bloodline? It can be recognized by Bupa, and it even seems to be not inferior to Quinko's bloodline, a special bloodline. 35. After returning to his senses, Bupa glanced at Kefla and said, but it's hard to get it in a short period of time. 35. 2020 When I find an opportunity, I will help you get it. Before this, all you need to do is to continue to cultivate to become stronger, and to perfect your Super Saiyan God transformation. 35. It is good. Nodding, Kefla did not continue to ask anything. She could also see that she didn't understand this matter, and it was best to leave everything to Bupa. What? At this moment, a scream resounded. Looking at the sound, it can be seen that in the ring, Gabe's whole body was smashed to the ground and a large piece of dust was splashed. Immediately afterwards, Gabe's figure could be seen flying out like a kite with a broken string. With a loud bang, Gabe flew out of the arena area, slammed into the area outside the arena, and at the same time recovered from the state of Super Race God Rose Red. Gababy. Losing. Seeing this, Kefla and the others couldn't help exclaiming, especially Cal, at this moment, rushed to check Gabe's injury. Damn, how did Gabe lose? You bastard, it's so useless. Champa was even more embarrassed at the first time, and the entire popularity was in a panic, and his whole body was exuding anger and murderous intent. Unexpectedly, the people of his sixth universe actually lost like this. Compared to Carl's previous failures with Vegeta and both outs, Gabe's loss to Son Goku was unacceptable for him. Lord Champa, Gabe is no match for Son Goku. 99. At this time, Vados on the side said quietly, look at his current state, that is the dark blue form that Vegeta has just mastered before. According to Vegeta's statement before, this dark blue form is 4 times that of Super Blue, which means that the gap between Gabe and it is at least 3 times. Hearing this, Champa's face turned ashen. Although he was not reconciled, he also understood that what Vados said was the truth. Son Goku in the dark blue form does have power far beyond Gabe, and Gabe's ability is not enough to die with him. Haha, well done Son Goku. Meanwhile, Beerus was overjoyed. Looking at Son Goku who didn't have much damage in the ring, he was full of joy. After all, unlike the previous draw, this time was a real victory. And according to the current situation, the 7th universe has indeed had the upper hand. Thinking of this, Beerus glanced at Champa beside him with contempt and said, Champa, it seems that your Saiyan from the 6th universe is not as good as our Saiyan from the 7th universe. Cut. 35. Hearing this, Champa was furious. For Beerus' ridicule, he felt extremely aggrieved in his heart. Immediately afterwards, Champa turned his head to look at Kefla, Kyle and Hitt who were beside him. After pondering for a while, Champa gritted his teeth and said, Hitt, go up and defeat all the people in the 7th universe for me. What? Hearing this, both Kefla and Kai were surprised. He dispatched Hitt directly. How afraid of failure was Champa? Direct dispatch to take out the trump card. If Hitt fails, then I see. Nodding, Hitt stepped forward from behind, glanced at Champa and said, leave it to me next. After speaking, Hitt jumped and entered the ring. Hitt, with a flash of light in his eyes, Bupa didn't bother to chat with Kefla and his eyes locked on him, and he secretly said, System, check the information of Hitt. 5. The next second, Hitt's message appeared in front of Bupa's eyes. Hitt, race, unknown, bloodline, unknown, combat strength, 800 streams, transformation, Gods of Destruction form, ability, time flash, destruction, 800 gully combat power. 0. My dear, the power of this Hitt is no less than that of the Gods of Destruction. 35. And it will also be in the form of Gods of Destruction, which means that he has a power that is truly comparable to Gods of Destruction. After reading Hitt's message, Bupa's eyes showed a hint of surprise. Immediately afterwards, Bupa opened his mouth and announced, the 7th game of the 2nd game, Universe Son Goku, 1. The 3rd match. The 6th Universe Hit vs the 7th Universe Son Goku begins. After that, Bupa took Kefla and Claw directly to the area outside the ring to watch the fight. For Hit, he was still quite looking forward to it. As the #1 killer of the 6th Universe, this guy has now been trained by Champa, and his combat power is definitely far beyond the original. Even Son Goku, who has completed his dark blue state, is probably not very sure that he can be his opponent. Call out, call out. At the same time, Broly also came to the area where Bupa was. After he floated to the ground, Broly said curiously, "Big brother, the 6th Universe's Hit looks like an ace." This 6th Universe Gods of Destruction actually expects him so much, and it looks like he has good strength. 35. Hearing this, Bupa glanced at Broly, and then the corner of his mouth raised. Hit is the #1 killer of the 6th Universe. There is no doubt that his combat effectiveness is 0.7, and he is even a one-hit kill most of the time. If Son Goku isn't ready, he'll probably kill him right away. What? Instant kill? Hearing this, Broly was instantly refreshed. It's really unexpected that there is such a thing. Subconsciously, Broly stepped forward and said, "If that's the case, then I really have good knowledge." Saying that, Broly looked straight at the ring. Not only him, but everyone in the distant 7th Universe also looked awe-inspiring at this moment. After all, judging from Champa's words, the power of Hit is absolutely beyond doubt. If nothing else, the guy in front of them is likely to be their next big enemy. Chapter 303 Shi Shan Gong succeeded and defeated Deep Blue in seconds. Son Goku. Husband, do you know Hit? Kefla and Kyle looked at Bupa unexpectedly. Judging from Bupa's words just now, the latter seems to know Hit, and even know what his methods are. This can't help but make both Kefla and Click extremely puzzled, and even puzzled from the bottom of their hearts. No some. Glancing at the two girls, Bupa raised the corner of his mouth and said, "The #1 killer of the 6th Universe. The method he uses is the same as the one I have mastered, but he should cultivate at a higher level. I haven't used this technique very much for a long time. After all, this technique is an assassination type. But once Hit is displayed, if the 7th Universe is not prepared, it may even be destroyed." Champa is really not bragging in that regard. Hiss. Hearing this, Broly couldn't help taking a deep breath. For nothing else, Bupa's words were simply too shocking. At the same time, they also aroused strong curiosity in their hearts. After all, they have never seen Hit go all out. Thinking of this, Kefla and Kale also looked at the arena curiously, their eyes filled with 20 colors of anticipation. "You are the ace of the 6th Universe?" In the ring, Son Goku looked at Hit curiously, his eyes full of curiosity. From the latter's body, he can feel the powerful fluctuations in power, not even worse than himself. But even so, Hit's relaxed and freehand look really makes it easy for people to relax their vigilance. That's it. Taking a look at Son Goku, Hit didn't deny anything, but asked curiously, "Are you also the ace of the 7th Universe?" 5. Well, it's not. 35. Shaking his head, Son Goku looked at Son Gohan, Bororian and Azer outside the court. Although his strength is good, in a sense, he is not the opponent of the three of A's. Even if he displays Kaioken, he will fight with it reluctantly. But there is not much possibility of victory, isn't it? It seems that there are more powerhouses in the 7th Universe than I imagined. Seeing this scene, Hit nodded thoughtfully, and then said, "If that's the case, then I'm not wasting time." Son Goku, attack with all your might. Hiss. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of AIs and others outside the venue changed slightly. Hit's words were so confident that they even felt a little arrogant. Son Goku, who is in the dark blue state, has also reached the point of a stream. Although it may not be as good as Hit in the current situation, it should not be underestimated. But Hit actually looked disapproving, which had to make people wonder if the latter's psychology was normal. Subconsciously, Vegeta then said, "Kakarot, give me defeat this arrogant guy." 99. It is good. In this regard, Son Goku was not angry, but his face became serious. He could see that Hit wasn't bluffing. In this case, it also means that the latter has absolute certainty. Thinking of this, Son Goku's eyes flashed, and he immediately rushed out to attack Hit. In the next second, Son Goku's figure appeared in the area in front of Hit, and without hesitation, he punched him in the face. However, at this moment, Hit was still standing still and didn't move, and even his hands were still in his pockets. Seeing Son Goku's fist approaching, everyone's brows furrowed slightly. In particular, Vegeta and the others outside the arena all looked serious at the moment. What's the situation? Is this guy really not planning to defend? Doesn't he really need to fight back? Or was he just bluffing? At this moment, everyone was stunned by Hit's actions. Even his eyes are full of incredible colors. After all, Son Goku's attack is definitely not weak. Even if his strength is higher than Son Goku, it is impossible to be so invulnerable. What? Suddenly, a scream resounded. In the next second, the pupils of the 6th Universe and 7th Universe all shrank, subconsciously exclaiming, "Impossible." 99. Looking at the sound, it can be seen that Son Goku, who was just aggressive, has fallen to the ground at this moment. His attack didn't touch Hit's place, and even the whole person flew upside down, smashed to the ground and vomited blood continuously. On the contrary, Hitt in the area in front of him did not move. The only movement was that his right hand was retracted into his pocket again. What's the situation? Defeat Son Goku in seconds. How did he do it in an instant? At this moment, everyone was shocked. The eyes they looked at Hitt at this moment were full of horror, panic and alertness, including Kefla of the 6th universe, and others are also full of stunned and unbelievable faces. After all, they didn't even see how Hitt got his shot and how he beat Son Goku. Gudu. After swallowing, Broly said subconsciously, "Brother, what the hell is going on? What the hell did that guy do? Why did you beat Son Goku all at once?" It's unbelievable. His methods are unbelievable. As soon as these words came out, Kefla and Claw also looked at Bupa. They were also curious about Hitt's means. I don't even know what to do with 220. Too strong. It's just a crushing gesture. Even Son Goku, who they were not even sure they could take down, was defeated at once, and it could even be regarded as an instant kill. Time flash. 35. Facing the question, Bupa smiled indifferently at the moment, and then said, "The attack of jumping time." However, I didn't fully see the moment just now, but I can confirm that Hitt's time flashing skills are indeed much stronger than mine. 99. Indeed, Bupa got only 0.1 seconds of flash power, while Hitt's current flash power is at least 0.5 seconds. Otherwise, it would be impossible to do so. Killing Deep Blue Son Goku in seconds, even if the latter has no defenses, is a shocking thing. I see. It's actually a time flash. With a flash of light in his eyes, Broly suddenly realized, and immediately said, "I didn't expect that this guy from the 6th universe would actually be one of the Big Brother's stunts. And it's even deeper than Big Brother's stunt. This guy is really an existence that cannot be underestimated, and is a good opponent." Speaking of which, Broly was full of fighting spirit. If he could, he really wanted to try it out against Hitt. After all, the situation where the latter killed Son Goku in seconds is really shocking. Chapter 304 Son Gohan's Wrath, Gods of Destruction's Fear. Shi Shan Gong, husband, what is that? The attack of jumping time. Is this really something that can be done? 66.99. At this time, Kefla and clasped subconsciously. The two of them were a little confused at the moment. They don't know what the time flash art is, but an attack capable of jumping time is definitely a shocking method. After all, I've never heard of anyone being able to manipulate time, not even the Gods of Destruction. It is indeed possible. With an indifferent smile, Bupa glanced at the two girls, and then said, "I will also do flashes from time to time. It's just that my time flash skill spans 0.1 seconds, and I can instantly attack in the battle of the strong. If the opponent is unprepared, it can be defeated in an instant, or even killed in seconds." 35. However, Hitt's time-shifting power is obviously stronger, and the jumping time is even more terrifying, which led to the unsuspecting Son Goku being defeated directly. Hiss. After listening to Bupa's story, Kefla and Kai couldn't help taking a deep breath. It's actually true. This kind of thing can really be done. No wonder Son Goku lost in the attack of jump time. No wonder Hitt was the #1 killer in the 6th universe, and no one could escape even under his hands. Under the attack of this jumping time, let alone Son Goku, even gods of destruction such as Beerus and Champa will be hit or even injured if they are slightly careless. In the ring, Son Goku's screams continued. It can be seen that his hand is holding the heart area, the whole person's face is twisted, and he is constantly rolling on the ground, and even the transformation of Josei God can no longer be maintained. Dad. Seeing this, Son Gohan panicked. The whole person quickly came to the ring. After seeing Son Goku's horrific and even pale complexion, anger appeared in his eyes. Son Goku's situation is so dire. If not treated, then waiting for him must be death. Hitt. Raising his head, Son Gohan angrily looked at Hitt with murderous intent in his eyes. Although Son Gohan's heart is peaceful, how could Son Goku not be angry when he is the son of man in such a situation? Don't look at me. In this regard, Hitt was extremely indifferent. After taking a look at Son Gohan, he immediately said, "I have already kept my hand, otherwise he would have been dead with a blow just now. Now he still has 5 minutes to save him, and with Angel's power, he can completely recover. Of course, if you continue to delay, then he will only have to die." What? 5 minutes? Hearing this, Son Gohan's pupils shrank. No longer caring about being angry, Son Goku, who was on the ground, galloped towards the area where Bupa and the others were. Soon, Son Gohan brought Son Goku to Bupa's place, bowed and saluted. "Master Bupa, please give my dad a fairy bin." "It is good." Nodding, Bupa glanced at Son Gohan and took out a fairy bin and threw it out. After all this was done, Bupa opened his mouth and said, "The third game is over, and the 6th universe hitter wins." As soon as these words came out, the talents of the 6th universe and the 7th universe woke up like a dream. Looking at Son Goku, who was already being fed with fairy bins by Son Gohan, and at Hitt, who was standing still in the ring, the faces of Azer and Bororian from the 7th universe also became serious. Tough. The strength of the opponent is definitely something that surprises them, but it is precisely because of this that they are full of fighting spirit at the moment. After all, The latter was able to kill Son Goku in seconds, even if he used some unknown skills, but it was enough to make them fight. So strong. As expected, the number one killer. It's amazing. This is the Gods of Destruction candidate for my 6th universe. Kyle and Gabe couldn't help but sigh, and looked at Hitt with shock and yearning. For nothing else, there hardly any previous Deep Blue Son Goku opponents. But Hitt was also able to kill him instantly, which shows how huge the gap between the two sides is. The most important thing is that although Hitt is the number one killer, after this period of contact within the Gods of Destruction world, they also understand that the latter is not a bad person. The reason why he became a killer was to exercise his own strength, and the people he killed were almost all wicked bad people. Although the means of the two sides are different, the latter is definitely a peaceful existence. Therefore, even if Hitt became a candidate for Gods of Destruction, they were extremely recognized in their hearts. Now that they have seen Hitt's methods, their recognition of the latter has become stronger. Champa, how can you people of universe manipulate time? At this moment, Beerus' complexion was ashen. He turned to look at Champa's place. His eyes were full of anger. As Gods of Destruction. Naturally, they could see the existence of Shishigong. But because of this, Beerus was even more uneasy. After all, the manipulation of time is too terrifying. Under such circumstances, Hitt is almost an invincible existence. Under the same realm, how many people can be his opponents? Even Beerus is not sure to defeat him under normal circumstances. The most important thing is that the current Hitt is a candidate for Gods of Destruction, and he has also learned Gods of Destruction power, Gods of Destruction form and destruction, which definitely makes Beerus uneasy. So what? In response, Champa looked at Beerus with disapproval and said, my Gods of Destruction candidate in the 6th universe is naturally powerful. It's you Beerus, who is your alternate God of Destruction in the 7th universe. I'll see if he can be Hitt's opponent. If he can't help Hitt, then you will definitely lose this bet. At this moment, the smile on Champa's face was very strong. It's over, but his inner emotions are also extremely depressed. Just like the reason why Beerus was moved, he did not expect that Hitt would actually control the power of time. Although it is only a fighter, but this kind of power is really a bit foul, and it is even an extremely unstable factor. It should be destroyed long ago. But now that Hitt has become a candidate for Gods of Destruction, it is impossible for him to shoot at him, which makes Champa extremely unhappy. Vados, 39. Subconsciously, Champa turned his head to look at Vados and said, did you know this before? This guy can manipulate time, why didn't you tell me? 35. Hearing this, Vados glanced at Champa and immediately smiled and said, Lord Champa, I told you before. When Hitt was born thousands of years ago, I told you that a man with a gift for time was born, but Lord Champa, you were more willing to sleep. Shin. Chapter 305 Son Gohan fights, the lost Son Goku. Hearing this, Champa was dumbfounded. The latter actually told him, and he neglected it because he wanted to sleep. For a moment, Champa opened his mouth and didn't know what to say. Vados, on the other hand, had a full smile on his face, glanced at Hitt subconsciously, and said in his heart, the talent of time has reached such a level. When he completely takes over the position of Gods of Destruction, I am afraid that the combat power will surpass the rest of Gods of Destruction in the first time. As long as he gives some guidance at that time, he can even be promoted to Zeno's guard again in a short period of time. At that time, my mission will be completed, even. At this moment, a soft cough came. Looking at the reputation, it can be seen that Son Goku has woken up after eating the fairy beans. Under the influence of the power of the fairy beans, the power of Hitt's attack was also resolved. After Son Goku stood up, his eyes immediately turned to where Hitt was in the ring, and he subconsciously said, how strong? Really strong. That power, I really lost before I could react. I really want to play against it once, and I still lose my cards before I can show it. At this moment, Son Goku was extremely unwilling. There is not much decadence of failure, but more wanting to fight with Hitt. Dad. Seeing this, Son Gohan on the side flashed a black line on his forehead, then stepped forward and said, this is not the time to talk about this. 99. Dad, do you remember what happened? Why were you defeated the moment before? That guy's methods are too weird. If he can't find a way to crack it, I'm afraid he won't be his opponent at all. At this moment, Son Gohan was a little impatient. He could remember that Bupa's goal was the Super Dragon Ball. If the 7th universe loses, the Super Dragon Ball will be owned by the 6th universe, and the consequences will be disastrous. How was it defeated? Hearing this, Son Goku frowned. Subconsciously recalling, Son Goku shook his head, rubbed the area of his heart that had been attacked before, and muttered, I don't know how I was attacked either. I didn't even react just now, and then I felt that Hitt's attack had already landed on me. I was already lying on the ground by the time I reacted, and even the pain on my body made me unable to open my eyes. Hearing this, Son Gohan's face sank, including ease not far away. Beerus' expression also became serious. Son Goku didn't even see what was going on, which meant that Hitt was really an invincible existence. For a time, everyone's expressions were extremely aggrieved. This incredible method really prevented them from finding any way to break the situation. Master Bupa. At this time, Son Gohan's eyes subconsciously looked towards Bupa, his eyes filled with anticipation. Although Son Goku doesn't know what's going on, he believes Bupa will know. As long as you can get the information you want from Bupa, then it is entirely possible to defeat Hitt. I do know. Looking at Son Gohan, Bupa said indifferently, but I can't tell you about this. After all, you are still at the stage of the two-universe competition. I'm just a referee, and I can't do anything that favors either side. Hearing this, Son Gohan immediately showed disappointment. Bupa is reluctant to say it, which means that he has no way to force him to say anything. For a while, Son Gohan's eyes followed to look at Hitt in the ring. So, let me come next. I must find out what means he is using. After speaking, Son Gohan no longer hesitated, and jumped into the ring with a jump. Gohan. Seeing this, Son Goku's expression changed slightly. He didn't even think about how to deal with Hitt's attack. Son Gohan came to power rashly. If he was injured, then, no need to worry. Seeing this, Bupa smiled indifferently, and then said, Son Gohan is already prepared. Even Hitt's attack can't kill him as quickly as before. Hearing this, Son Goku's mouth twitched. Thinking of the situation where he was killed in seconds, Son Goku's face was really unbearable. But soon, Son Goku was replaced by excitement, looked at Bupa and said, Bupa, does Gohan have the possibility of defeating Hitt? Victory. Looking at Son Goku strangely, Bupa looked playful. If it is the future, Son Gohan will indeed not be inferior to Hitt, and even surpass Hitt. But in the current situation, Hitt's strength is not something Son Gohan can match. After all, Hitt is a candidate for Gods of Destruction in the 6th universe, and even the form of Gods of Destruction has not yet been displayed. 99. You should be very clear about the power of the Gods of Destruction form once it is exerted. What? Gods of Destruction form? Hearing this, Son Goku's pupils shrank, and his entire face turned pale. I thought that my current strength was Hitt's limit, but I didn't expect that Hitt was still a candidate for Gods of Destruction, and even in the form of Gods of Destruction. Thinking of this transformation increase that is not inferior to the Super Saiyan God, this also means that the gap between him and Hitt is extremely huge, even unmatched. For a time, Son Goku was hit hard and muttered, that means, even if you use Kaioken, I'm not Hitt's opponent. Seeing this, Bupa's eyes flashed, and he immediately looked at Son Goku and said, yes, even if you use Kaioken, you can't help Hitt. But all this is because your basic combat power is insufficient. If your basic combat power is comparable to Hitt, then he cannot be your opponent. After all, Saiyan's augmented transformation is stronger than Gods of Destruction. 35. Besides that, if you want to fight Hitt now, there is only one way to master Ultra Instinct. Ultra Instinct. Brows raised, Son Goku looked at Bupa subconsciously. The image of Bupa and Beerus displaying Ultra Instinct appeared in his mind, and a trace of envy and yearning flashed subconsciously in his eyes. But soon, Son Goku's expression turned somber. Unfortunately, I can't learn Ultra Instinct at all. Even Weiss pointed me a few times, but I failed, and in the end Weiss stopped pointing me. Weiss pointing failed? How can Son Goku learn? Raising his brows, Bupa's eyes showed a hint of surprise. Chapter 306 Conquering Son Goku's Miracle, Inheriting Ultra Instinct. At this moment, Bupa was a little stunned. After all, in the original book, Son Goku learned Ultra Instinct. Although not now, Son Goku can do it, if nothing else. But now Son Goku says that Weiss is not instructing him to practice Ultra Instinct. Doesn't that mean Son Goku is likely to miss him? If this is the case, then Son Goku may not really learn Ultra Instinct minus. After all, in the original book, Weiss was more optimistic about Son Goku, and with the relationship between Son Goku and Zeno, Weiss spared no effort to teach him. Now the object of Weiss' teaching has become Bororian, but Son Goku can't get such treatment, so there is no possibility of learning Ultra Instinct at all. Opportunity. I finally found it. With a flash of light in his eyes, Bupa looked at Son Goku and said, Son Goku, I can actually point you to Ultra Instinct. 35. And it allows you to master the incomplete Ultra Instinct in a short period of time, such as the sympathetic Coman exclamation mark 99. Hearing this, Son Goku's pupils shrank, and he raised his head subconsciously to look at Bupa's eyes full of incredible colors. He knew Bupa would Ultra Instinct. I also understand that the latter is powerful, but it is impossible to teach him Ultra Instinct, even in a short period of time. Do not believe. Seeing this, Bupa smiled lightly, knowing exactly what Son Goku's suspicions were. Immediately afterwards, Bupa looked at Broly beside him and said, come here Broly, I will pass you Ultra Instinct now. His Ultra Instinct is complete. Now it's time to teach. It just wasn't enough time, and the timing wasn't right, so he didn't teach Broly. Now is the time to take this opportunity to subdue Son Goku, so it's no problem to teach Ultra Instinct to Broly. Real? Hearing this, Broly was overjoyed. He could remember Bupa saying that the latter was able to teach Ultra Instinct to himself the same way he taught Kaioken. When he finished Ultra Instinct training in Bupa before, he was looking forward to it, but the Battle of Beerus made him unable to say anything. But it's different now. It's definitely good news for Broly to teach Bupa to himself. Certainly. With an indifferent smile, Bupa didn't give a shit, and immediately said, "Come here." 99. Yes, sir. With a promise, Broly hurried to the area beside Bupa, expecting, "Brother, teach it to me. I can't wait to get hold of that Ultra Instinct." What? Teach Ultra Instinct? Hearing this, Beerus, Champa and others on the side were also shocked. After looking at each other, they both quickly came to the area beside Bupa. Even the people from the 6th universe and the 7th universe all around looked sideways. Bupa is going to teach Ultra Instinct to Broly, and it seems that he can master it in a short period of time, which is really an exciting thing. Hit, wait a minute. On the ring, Son Gohan, who was about to do something, also hurriedly stopped and said, "Let's see how Mr. Bupa transmits Gong to Broly first." That's Ultra Instinct, a stunt that even Gods of Destruction can't cultivate. But it can really be taught directly. Gods of Destruction is a stunt that is difficult to cultivate. Hearing this, Hit's eyes showed a hint of surprise, then nodded and said, "Okay, let's take a look together first." After speaking, Hit no longer hesitated, and turned his head to look at the area not far away. At the same time, the two universe people are also looking at Bupa. "Bupa, can you really teach Ultra Instinct?" Beerus couldn't help but ask with curiosity in his heart. That's Ultra Instinct. Even he has practiced for hundreds of thousands of years before barely grasping the means completely. Now that Bupa is teaching it directly to Broly, it's unbelievable. Speak up. How can Ultra Instinct be taught casually? Champa was even more disbelieving. He also learned Ultra Instinct from Vados, but he didn't even do the most basic entry. Now that Bupa says he can teach Ultra Instinct to others, Champa can't believe it. It even gave him a false feeling, completely unrealistic. "Don't you know if you try it?" 99. With an indifferent smile, Bupa didn't care about the suspicions of Beerus and the others. Zero ask for flowers 0. His main priority now is to take down Son Goku, as the protagonist of the Dragon Ball universe. Once Son Goku surrenders and even has a loyalty of over 90 to him, he will definitely get powerful benefits. Not only that, once Son Goku is captured, Vegeta, who is the sub-protagonist, will also be captured by him. After all, these two don't seem to be fighting each other, but once Son Goku makes some kind of compromise and his strength increases greatly, then Vegeta will not be able to sit still. Thinking of this, Bupa didn't hesitate, and immediately said, "Broly, come forward." Relax your mind and body. I will pass you Ultra Instinct directly." "Yes, sir." With a promise, Broly no longer hesitated, and walked directly to the area in front of Bupa. 0. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, Broly relaxed and said, "Brother, I'm ready." "Good." 35. Nodding, Bupa no longer hesitated, raised his hand and touched Broly's forehead under the gaze of Beerus and others. Immediately afterwards, Bupa pretended to launch Ultra Instinct directly. With a radiance of silver, the power of Ultra Instinct pours out to envelop Bupa and Broly. Ultra Instinct. My god. He actually does. Seeing this, Champa subconsciously exclaimed and said in disbelief, "Who the hell is this guy?" Beerus, is this guy really Angel? 39. Ultra Instinct. How could he Ultra Instinct? 35. At this moment, Champa was completely dumbfounded. That is a method that the gods can't cultivate, and even many angels can't reach such a level. Bupa is not even a god yet. How could he have mastered such a skill? It's Ultra Instinct indeed. Glancing at Champa, Beerus didn't turn his head and said, "Don't talk, don't bother me to watch him teach." Hearing this, the corner of Champa's mouth twitched. Although he was not reconciled, he didn't say anything rashly at the moment. In response, Bupa didn't hesitate. After pretending to cover up his aura, he directly issued an order to the system, pass Ultra Instinct to Broly. 7. Chapter 307. The Shocked Angel. Ding. Check that the host Ultra Instinct is in the stage of completion, and can inherit the entry-level Ultra Instinct, whether it consumes the inheritor to inherit it. The system beeps loudly. Small stage. Ultra Instinct also has high and low levels. With a frown, Bupa suddenly understood why Beerus was no longer his opponent. Quartering is not because Beerus does not have a thorough grasp of Ultra Instinct's practice, but because the two sides have different levels of mastery. Unsurprisingly, Beerus' Ultra Instinct is just getting started, and he is at the stage of small success. In this case, there is naturally a huge gap between the two sides, and it is no wonder that things will turn out like this. As soon as he thought of this, Bupa didn't hesitate, and immediately said, "Let's inherit." Ding. Consume one inheritor, and inherit the 220 start. In the next second, the power of the system will emerge, and the entry-level Ultra Instinct will be taught directly to Broly. Buzz. The humming sound resounded, and it could be seen that Broly's whole body was beginning to emit a silver-white brilliance at this moment. With the opening of the inheritance, he immediately entered the state of incomplete Ultra Instinct. At this moment, Bupa restrained his breath. In an instant, Broly's incomplete Ultra Instinct state was instantly seen by everyone. My god, it's really Ultra Instinct. 39. How is it possible? Is this Ultra Instinct really teachable? How is it possible? Broly didn't know this method at all before, and he didn't even learn it at all, but he mastered it all at once. 66.99 Add. In an instant, Son Goku, Vegeta and the others couldn't help but exclaimed. They have practiced together in the Gods of Destruction world for so long, and everyone can be considered to be well informed. They knew very well that although Broly had also studied, he also ended in failure and finally chose to give up learning Ultra Instinct without digging into the horns, but concentrated on cultivating his basic combat power and transformation. But what about now? In just a split second, Bupa actually let Broly master Ultra Instinct. Even if it is not the most complete state, it has already made it entry level, and even completed the level that countless people and gods can't do. Gudu. Swallowing his saliva, Champa said in disbelief, Vados, do you see if this is true? Did this guy actually learn Ultra Instinct? However, at the moment, Vados and Weiss also fell into shock. Ultra Instinct. They can be sure that the Broly in front of them is indeed the state of Ultra Instinct. It's not complete, but it's definitely getting started. It can be said that just at the moment of Bupa's teaching, Broly at least saved years, decades or even decades of penance. The most important thing is that this Ultra Instinct is still constantly improving, and they can all feel that Broly's breath is rapidly increasing. In this case, Broly is likely to directly master the full version of Ultra Instinct. But even as Angel, they couldn't do such a thing. How did Bupa do it? For a time, the emotions inside Weiss and Vados were extremely complicated. Even in such a situation, they didn't know what to say next. Wrong. Add. Suddenly, Vados seemed to sense something, and subconsciously said, Broly's Ultra Instinct seems to be a little off. Hearing this, Champa, Beerus and others all turned to Vados. Ultra Instinct, right? Isn't it the real Ultra Instinct? Thinking of this, Champa and Beerus exhaled. If it is Ultra Instinct, it is definitely a big blow for them. Subconsciously, Beerus said, Vados, what's wrong? Is it a fake Ultra Instinct? Just similar means and techniques? As soon as these words came out, everyone in the 6th universe and 7th universe in the field also looked at Vados, including Weiss is no exception. As Angel, he didn't see anything wrong. But since Vados said so, it could not be false. No. Shaking his head, Vados came back to his senses and said, it's Ultra Instinct. But Broly's current state is a sign of freedom, not Ultra Instinct. 0. It's unbelievable that Bupa actually taught him the Ultra Instinct first, and then taught him the full Ultra Instinct. What? Free Omen. Hearing this, Beerus suddenly exclaimed. Add. He had known from Weiss what the free zodiac sign meant for Ultra Instinct. Even he didn't master this method, which also caused his Ultra Instinct to be complete, but it was still in the entry stage and couldn't compare with Bupa. But now that Bupa is teaching the Ultra Instinct directly first, and then teaching Ultra Instinct, Beerus can't believe it. It does not make sense. Vados, what's the difference between Ultra Instinct and Freedom Omen? On the other hand, Champa asked with a puzzled expression at the moment. He didn't learn Ultra Instinct, and he didn't learn the free sign, so he didn't understand what was going on. The two are the same thing. At this moment, Weiss suddenly realized that he said, it's just that the Omen of Freedom is the entry-level version of Ultra Instinct. Only after you have a stable grasp of the free sign, can you truly perfect Ultra Instinct. Otherwise, only by virtue of his own perseverance, like Lord Beerus, he can cultivate an Ultra Instinct that is more suitable for him, rather than the original Ultra Instinct. Lord Beerus' Ultra Instinct is biased towards 0.7 attack. In a sense, it is a means of mutation. Although its strength is not bad and even more aggressive, it does not have the balance and great potential of the original Ultra Instinct. Bupa is able to teach the Ultra Instinct, and thus continues to teach Ultra Instinct, which means that he is the original Ultra Instinct that Broly wants to practice with him. What? Beerus learned Ultra Instinct. After listening to Weiss's words, everyone around suddenly realized, but Champa couldn't help exclaiming. Looking at Beerus subconsciously, he said in disbelief, Beerus, you guy. Buzz 1 by 1. Chapter 308 Teaching the Complete Ultra Instinct. The boiling crowd. Add. It worked. Comfortable Omen. It can really teach. Seeing this scene, the monks present couldn't help exclaiming, including Beerus, Champa, Weiss and Vados are also wide-eyed. This kind of thing can really be done, and it is a great omen. Although it is not yet a complete Ultra Instinct, it is already a point that countless people dream of but cannot complete. Thinking of this, the eyes of everyone present couldn't help but look at Bupa, with a hint of longing in their eyes. Especially Son Goku. He can remember what Bupa said before, that the latter can teach himself Ultra Instinct. For a time, Son Goku's expression changed, and he began to think about the pros and cons in his mind. He knew exactly what Bupa's purpose was. The Son Gohan technique was taught back then, and that was to make Son Gohan allegiance to it. Now if he also wants to learn Ultra Instinct 20 with Bupa, he must surrender to him. Really Ultra Instinct. He can really teach others how to master it quickly! 35. However, at the moment Vegeta on the ground was breathing extremely fast. Unlike Son Goku's dangle. At this moment, Vegeta's eyes are full of heat and yearning. Ultra Instinct. This is a skill that Gods of Destruction have difficulty mastering. Now that Bupa can be taught directly to them, it is self-evident. The most important thing is that a key point can also be seen from this matter. That is, the latter can be taught to Broly. Is it possible to teach it to yourself and others? Bupa, submissive to him? For a time, Vegeta's fists clenched tightly, and her heart also made up her mind, although it is a little unwilling to surrender to the others. Even before that he had a very bad sense of Bupa. But now, it seems that there is no choice. The main thing is that Ultra Instinct is extremely desirable for Vegeta, even cannot be missing. Buzz. At this moment, a humming sound resounded again. Looking at the reputation, it can be seen that the silver brilliance of Broly began to gradually emerge. That silver brilliance is getting brighter and brighter, and it even begins to cover the white brilliance that exists around him now. Ultra Instinct. Real Ultra Instinct. For the first time, Beerus exclaimed. He could tell that what Bupa was now teaching Broly was the full version of Ultra Instinct. And looking at this posture, if nothing else, Broly will be able to master it soon. For a while, Beerus burst into tears and laughs, and said with a complicated expression, I didn't expect Ultra Instinct to be taught directly and artificially, and to be able to directly and completely grasp it. This kind of power is simply incredible. 99. This remark immediately aroused the approval of Weiss. Vados, including them, also felt incredible. Even as Angel, they can only teach each other to learn Ultra Instinct, but direct teaching like Bupa has never been able to. But now that Bupa has done this directly in front of them, it's a bit bizarre, even shocking. Interesting. Bupa, this is really an interesting person. For a time, Vados' eyes locked on Bupa's body, and the curiosity in his eyes became even more intense. Even Vados didn't notice it, and his eyes were all on Bupa. Even with the original plan, Vados can't take care of it anymore, and now she needs to get this means of teaching Ultra Instinct. If you can master this method, it is extremely important for the Angel family. After all, even Angel is not someone who can master Ultra Instinct casually. But if you can have this inheritance method, it can completely make the power of the entire Angel family soar. Ding. The inheritance is over. At this time, the system prompt sound resounded. Immediately, Bupa's tightly closed eyes opened. Looking up, Broly can see that the white brilliance around Broly has been completely replaced by silver. With the continuous surging of the power of God, it can be seen that Broly's hair has turned silver, and his eyes have also turned silver. Surprisingly, he has now thoroughly mastered the full version of Ultra Instinct. It's just different from the fact that Bupa Ultra Instinct has achieved a small success. The Ultra Instinct mastered by Broly is only a beginner's level, and it is even more fragile than Beerus Ultra Instinct. But even so, Bupa was already satisfied. Ultra Instinct. That is a method that is difficult for the gods to cultivate, and he can directly teach it to Broly, which already shows the power of the inheritor. Thinking of this, Bupa retracted his hand and took a few steps back without disturbing Broly's feelings at the moment. After all this was done, Bupa turned his head to look at Son Goku, who was beside him, and said, How, am I talking big? No. Hearing this, Son Goku smiled bitterly. His eyes wandered over Bupa's body for a moment, and then he said, I just didn't expect you to teach Ultra Instinct like this. 99. Then can I wait? As soon as these words came out, not far away, Borolian, Kali 220 Furler, Son Gohan and others all looked at Bupa. If Bupa can also let them master Ultra Instinct like this, it is definitely good news. Even for them it is a very longing thing. No. In response, Bupa shook his head and said indifferently, I and Broly are twins, and there is a special connection between us. This connection method allows Broly's training power to feed back to me, and I can also take this opportunity to directly teach Broly the methods I master. 5. It's like the Ultra Instinct I teach now, and the Kaioken I teach before. What? There is such a thing? How could twins have such power? Hearing this, everyone was dumbfounded, and their eyes were full of incredible colors. Especially Beerus and Champa, who looked at each other at this moment, said subconsciously, how is that possible? We are also twins, why don't we have similar means and abilities? At this moment, Beerus and Champa were jealous. Identical twins, why discriminate against them so much? Seeing this, Son Goku and the others all looked at each other and didn't know what to say. After all, judging from the current situation, they really don't know how to speak. Chapter 309 Son Gohan vs Hitt, Super 4 debuts in shock. Nothing is impossible. Glancing at Beerus and Champa, Bupa said immediately, you don't have it, it doesn't mean the rest of you have. 35. As soon as these words came out, everyone on the side woke up like a dream. At this time, Vados quietly said, Lord Champa, this is indeed possible. There are indeed many special abilities between twins in universe, such as telepathy. 9. But I didn't expect Mr. Bupa and Mr. Broly to have such special abilities, and they are so special. This remark immediately aroused the approval of Weiss. He vaguely felt that something was wrong. But since Bupa said so, it meant that he and others should not ask too much. Thinking of this, Weiss immediately said, but even if this ability is only between twins, it is shocking enough. 39. In the entire universe, There are almost no similar existences. The abilities of Mr. Bupa and Mr. Broly are really enviable. As soon as these words came out, although Champa and Beerus couldn't believe it, they still had no choice. The main thing is that they don't mean the others don't, and they can't veto anything. There is still such a thing. Unbelievable. Simply incredible. 66.99. On the contrary, everyone in the arena at this moment is looking. They have also accepted Bupa's rhetoric. After all, there is no need for the latter to deceive himself and others. But even so, they are still quite envious of such a situation in their hearts. With Broly training, Bupa's combat power can also be improved. Bupa is able to impart his abilities to Broly without hindrance. The ability between the two is simply too heaven-defying, and even too enviable and yearning. For a time, everyone's eyes were locked on Bupa and Broly, including Son Goku, also said with envy on his face, "This is really enviable ability." Buzz. At this moment, a humming sound resounded quietly. Looking at the reputation, it can be seen that Broly's silver brilliance is completely bright at this moment. The whole person also entered the real Ultra Instinct state at this moment. In this state, the aura around Broly became stronger and stronger, and even made people feel a strong depression. Success. Finished. Seeing this situation, everyone present was refreshed. Even Bupa breathed a sigh of relief at the moment. With the completion of Ultra Instinct, Broly's tightly closed eyes also quietly opened. This is Ultra Instinct? I finally got the hang of it. Feeling his own condition, Broly looked extremely happy. With Ultra Instincts side by side, his own strength can also soar greatly. It can even be said that with the existence of Ultra Instinct, Broly has now once again surpassed everyone present. It has become an existence second only to Bupa, and with Ultra Instinct by its side, even Gods of Destruction like Champa is unmatched. Thank you, bro. At this moment, Broly came back to his senses and turned to look at Bupa's eyes full of gratitude. He understands that if Bupa hadn't taught himself this Ultra Instinct, it is completely impossible for me to reach such a level. And there is no possibility of mastering Ultra Instinct at all. It doesn't have to be. With a wave of his hand, Bupa said indifferently, now you have mastered Ultra Instinct, but it is only the entry stage, and then you need to self-cultivation to improve it. Yes. 5. Hearing this, Broly nodded. He also understands that his Ultra Instinct is only an entry level. Even if it is extremely stable, it is not too strong. Ultra Instinct for beginners. I see. At this time, Beerus said thoughtfully, I just said that the special ability between you can't be so unbelievable. It turns out that after you taught Broly, he was only at the entry level. In that case, this ability is not unacceptable. As soon as these words came out, Champa curled his lips. He is extremely disapproving of Beerus' words, even if it's just the entry-level version of Ultra Instinct, but it's something that countless people can only dream of. But now, Champa doesn't plan to continue to say anything. All right. At this moment, Hitt in the ring slowly retracted his gaze, then looked at Son Gohan and said, Son Gohan, let's start. 99. It is good. Hearing this, Son Gohan nodded immediately. Bupa taught Ultra Instinct completely, and Son Gohan also longed for it in his heart. But since this is something that can only be done between Bupa and Broly, there is no possibility for him to grasp Hitt. So, the main thing now is to beat Hitt. After all, the existence of the latter is definitely a huge threat to the 7th universe. If he can't be defeated, then this time the 6th universe and the 7th universe's gambling fight, the 7th universe will be a complete failure. Even the Earth of the 7th universe will change hands and become the owner of the 6th universe. At that time, war. Taking a deep breath, Son Gohan's eyes flashed with determination, and he looked up at Hitt and said, for the sake of the Earth, I will never lose to you. As soon as Son Gohan's thoughts moved, he immediately activated the Super 4 transformations. In an instant, the chi around Son Gohan began to soar rapidly. In a short period of time, Son Gohan's power has reached the level of 1600 rang. What kind of transformation is that? 35. Looking at Son Gohan's transformation, everyone in the 6th universe and 7th universe was shocked. Everyone was stunned by this sudden scene, even a little unbelievable. QQ !_% Super Saiyan 4, alright. This is definitely a means that no one but Bupa and Broly has mastered. Now Son Gohan is actually showing the transformation of Super Saiyan 4, which is really a bit bizarre, especially Kefla and others from the 6th universe. Unlike Vegeta and others who have seen the Super 4 transformations of Bupa and Broly before, they had never seen this Super Saiyan 4 transformed. Husband. Subconsciously, Kefla asked, what kind of transformation is this? It's so handsome that it has suddenly become like this. Indeed, compared to Super Saiyan who just changed the hair color and pupil color, this Super Saiyan 4 is more than half a star handsome. This is Super Saiyan number 4. Glancing at Kefla, Bupa immediately explained, it's the bloodline evolution transformation skills after completing Super Saiyan 3. Chapter 310. Just about to move Vegeta, test Hitt. Super Saiyan 4. Nodding thoughtfully, Kefla looked at Bupa expectantly and said, husband, can I transform into this Super Saiyan 4 state? 99. Also, who is stronger between Super Saiyan 4 and Super Saiyan? As soon as these words came out, everyone in the 6th universe also looked at where Bupa was, and their eyes were full of curiosity. The Saiyan of the 6th universe is unable to practice the transformation of Super Saiyan 4. Glancing at Kefla, Bupa smiled lightly, and then said, "But you don't have to worry. Super Saiyan 4 and Super Saiyan God transformation can't be done together unless you master the bloodline of Super Saiyan God at a glance with Son Gohan." 5. As for who is stronger or weaker, the full power state of Super 4 is almost the same as Super Blue, but it is not comparable to Deep Blue. So, you only need to focus on the cultivation of Jiao Shan now. Jiao 4 doesn't mean much to you. I see. It is stronger than the second-order Super Race God, but it cannot match the full power of the second-order Super Race God. Nodding with a sense of comprehension, Kefla and the others immediately lost much interest. Since the transformation of Super 4 is not stronger than the second stage of Super Saiyan 223, they naturally don't have much thought to ask. Thinking of this, everyone's eyes turned to the area in the field again and muttered, "But the power of Super Saiyan 4's transformation should not be enough to make Son Goku match Hitt." This remark immediately aroused everyone's approval. Although Son Gohan's Super 4 transformation is very strong, but to be honest, it is really not as good as Hitt, and it can't even match the previous dark blue Son Goku. Ha! At this time, Son Gohan in the stadium burst out again. With the radiance of crimson red, Son Gohan directly completed the transformation of Super Saiyan God in the form of Super 4. In an instant, Son Gohan had red hair, red eyes and red hair all over his body. With the rising of crimson aura, his chi also soared rapidly. In a short period of time, Son Gohan's own power has soared to the point of 60 streams. So strong. Transformation of a Super Race God in a Super 4 state. There is still such an ability. Is this the power of the Super Saiyan bloodline? For a time, Son Goku and others couldn't help exclaiming. Everyone was stunned by the sudden change, including Beerus is no exception. Super Race God. This is the real Super Race God. 95. In an instant, Beerus' eyes glistened with fighting intent. He can be sure that the state of Son Gohan in front of him is the Super Saiyan God he saw in his sleep. I thought it was just a false existence. But now it doesn't seem to be the case. Compared to Son Goku and others Super Saiyan God, this Son Gohan is undoubtedly the existence he foresees in his sleep. Even though Son Gohan has not yet reached the level of surpassing him, Beerus couldn't help but look forward to it in his heart, and muttered, "I really look forward to it. If the power of this Super Saiyan God reaches the extreme, isn't it? Can fight with me." Fight with you? 99. Glancing at Beerus, Champa curled his lips in disdain and said, "Tier 10 combat power is really good, but it is still too far to be comparable to Gods of Destruction." Cut. Hearing this, Beerus curled his lips in disdain, and then said, "This is because Son Gohan's basic combat power is too weak. If his basic combat power can reach the 10th order, with Super Saiyan 4 and Super Saiyan's transformation, even Gods of Destruction can't be his opponent." 99. As soon as these words came out, Champa frowned slightly. Although it is a bit incredible, if things are really as Beerus said, it is indeed a formidable existence. After all, the superimposed transformation and enhanced combat power of Super 4 and Super Saiyan is by no means comparable to the form of Gods of Destruction. Super Race God Bloodline. 95. Is this the power of the Jiao Saiyan God's bloodline? 66. 99. In the 7th universe, Vegeta excitedly looked at the domineering Son Gohan. His eyes were full of longing and yearning. Too strong. It is too strong. Super Saiyan 4 is not inferior to Super Blue's transformation, and with the addition of Super Saiyan's enhancement, this is simply something he can't imagine. But as Bupa said before, this kind of thing is not something that can be done casually. If he wants to complete a transformation similar to Son Gohan, he must master the blood of the Super Saiyan. But this kind of bloodline is not something he can master casually, which makes Vegeta extremely unwilling. Subconsciously, Vegeta's eyes turned to where Bupa was. The latter can allow Son Gohan to master the bloodline of the Super Race God, so can he also master it? In addition, Bupa can also teach Ultra Instinct, if he surrenders to him. Then, is this Gohan's true strength? The bloodline of the Super Race God is really unmatched. Son Goku stared blankly at this scene, with envy and yearning in his eyes. Even if Son Goku is doing his best, at this moment he is only about rank 9 combat power at most. There is absolutely no chance of matching Son Gohan. This made Son Goku even more entangled in his heart. Should he surrender to Bupa? If he does not surrender, then in his current situation, if he wants to continue to become stronger, he can only cultivate the basic combat power step by step. But if you surrender to Bupa, it will definitely be possible to learn Ultra Instinct, and it is even possible to obtain the bloodline of Ultra Saiyan God. Hitter, come on. 35. In the ring, after Son Gohan completed his transformation, his eyes were locked on Hitt for the first time. He knew very well that the latter was his biggest opponent and enemy, and even if he was a little careless, what awaited him would be defeat. After all, Hitt killed Son Goku in an instant before, and even they didn't have the slightest information about that special ability. Glancing at Son Gohan, Hitt said, You are indeed stronger than Son Goku. But if this is the case, then your strength is not enough to compete with me. Go ahead, or you won't have a chance. 35. Hearing this, Son Gohan frowned. Hitt's words made him feel uneasy, and at the same time he also understood that his own strength was not the opponent of the system. Thinking of this, Son Gohan immediately said, if you do, then you will be offended. Without refusing anything, Son Gohan raised his hand and countless Qui-Gon bullets hurriedly attacked Hitt. Son Gohan didn't dare to rashly choose close combat without knowing the power of Hitt's flash. After all, the scene of Son Goku being killed in seconds is still vivid in our minds, and no one can ignore or even forget such an existence. Chapter 311 Son Gohan is seriously injured. See through the mystery of flash power. Seeing this situation, everyone present was also refreshed. Indeed, they are extremely afraid of Hitt's methods. Launching Qui-Gon bombs like Son Gohan for long-range testing is definitely a good choice. Rumbling, rumble one. Under the gazes of everyone, the Qui-Gon bombs exploded directly in the field. As the dust rose, the land covered by the Qui-Gon bombs was reduced to a large area of ruins. Look, it's Hitt. 35. Suddenly, a burst of exclamation followed. Looking at the reputation, it can be seen that Hitt's figure walked out of the explosion range, advancing step by step. The whole person's figure was constantly wandering back and forth, perfectly avoiding all the attacks of Son Gohan. Not only that, while Hitt was avoiding the attack of the Qui-Gon bomb, he was slowly walking towards Son Gohan. And the speed seems to be very slow, but it can also make people clearly feel depressed. Coming. Suddenly, Hitt's footsteps stopped and he looked up at Son Gohan. It was at this moment that when Hitt launched the flash power, the whole person attacked Son Gohan. Not good. Seeing Hitt disappear from the spot, Son Gohan's face changed quietly, and he raised his hands subconsciously to block. However, before his hands could be raised, Hitt's attack quietly landed on his body. With a loud bang, Hitt appeared in the area behind Son Gohan. Still with his hands in his pockets, the whole person stood there extremely indifferent. What? At this moment, Son Gohan's screams resounded. It can be seen that his body shook violently, then bent like a shrimp, covered his lower abdomen with both hands, and blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. It appeared again. That unpredictable attack. Seeing this situation, everyone in the 7th universe changed their expressions. Son Gohan's attempts to defend with all his concentration just now failed. The latter's attack speed was too fast, and even they didn't see how the latter made a move. This guy is too good. Can Gohan hold on? For a time, Son Goku and the others all clenched their fists, and looked at Hitt with a look of horror and fear. Including Azer and Bororian are no exception. Although the two possessed a strength that surpassed Son Gohan, they did not see what Hitt's means were. The most important thing is that neither of them can avoid such an attack without knowing the other party's means. Cough cough. In the ring, Son Gohan didn't fall down, coughing violently in his mouth, but he recovered. After standing up, Son Gohan looked at Hitt who was not far away and said, "What a terrifying attack." At that moment, I couldn't even resist. 35. Hitt, you really are not ordinary. 99. Hearing the voice, Hitt turned around and glanced at Son Gohan in surprise, and then said, although I am only 70% strong, it is not easy for you to persevere. 35. Half of my strength in the previous Son Goku can't hold on anymore. 35. Sure enough, you are stronger than him. What? 50% defeated Son Goku. Hearing this, everyone outside the ring was instantly in an uproar. Although they knew that Hitt didn't kill him before, they didn't expect Hitt to only use 50% of his power. Half of the power almost killed Son Goku, but Son Gohan actually resisted 70% of Hitt's power, which is a huge gap. The difference is so huge. Opening his mouth, Son Goku's face was even more incredible. He did not doubt Hitt's words. After all, there is no need for the latter to exaggerate in this matter, but it is because of this that Son Goku is even more puzzled. How terrifying the 50% of the force that attacked him before. Now Son Gohan actually blocked 70% of the force. This. Indeed so. At this time, Bupa said quietly, Hitt's basic combat power is around 500 gauges. Although his strength is not based on strength, his own efforts to go all out should not be underestimated. Even if he gave it his all, that's not even inferior to the 6th universe Gods of Destruction Champa by much. 99. Hiss. Hearing this, Kefla and the others on the side couldn't help taking a deep breath. 500 stream base combat power. Not inferior to Champa's strength. Hitt is still just a candidate for Gods of Destruction. If this allows him to practice for a while, won't it surpass Champa? What a joke. 35. This Gods of Destruction can't be matched by a mere mortal. 0 flowers. At this time, Champa said with a bit of annoyance. But Beerus, Weiss and Vados on the side did not approve. They all knew that Hitt's strength should not be underestimated, especially Shi Shan Gong's attack. Even Champa didn't have much to contend with, and Beerus have nothing to fear. After all, he can Ultra Instinct, which is definitely the power of Dankishi Flash. But how did Gohan survive? At this time, Son Goku said somewhat incredulously, his physique should be similar to mine. And Gohan hasn't exercised much for so many years. His fighting ability is so strong. As soon as these words came out, Kefla and the others also looked at Bupa curiously. After all, Son Goku is Son Gohan's father, and there is no doubt about Son Gohan. Under the same circumstances, that Son Gohan actually resisted Hitt's 70% attack all at once, which is really incredible. Super Saiyan 4. Looking at Son Goku, Bupa didn't sell anything, and immediately said, unlike Super Saiyan God, it just lets you master the power of God and become stronger. Super Saiyan 4 is the evolution of the bloodline. Whether it is speed, strength or defense, it will be increased by dozens of times. That's why Son Gohan was able to withstand Hitt's attack, but if Hitt did his best, he was still no match. What? Super 4 has such an effect. Hearing this, Son Goku was stunned. Kefla and the others were also surprised. 10 times the strength, speed, and defense. What an outrageous increase. No wonder Bupa said that Super 4 is stronger than Super Blue. It turns out that it is not just a matter of combat power, but the most important thing is that Super 4's transformation is more comprehensive. It's really scary. Rubbing his lower abdomen, Son Gohan looked at Hitter and said, Kicking Lai is so terrifying. However, I have generally understood your attack methods. That's not pure speed, but an extremely special method, across space, or jump in time. Although I'm not sure which one it is, since you already know that your means do not come from speed, then there is a way to restrain yourself. 7. Chapter 312 Son Gohan's Swan Song, Shishigong was broken. Across space, jump time. Hearing this, Son Goku and others outside the venue were all stunned, including the 6th Universe's Cal. Gabe is also puzzled. Is it really possible to do this? Subconsciously, the previous hitter's situation appeared in their minds. It's incredible, but it seems to be exactly what Son Gohan said. See it? Glancing at Son Gohan, Hitt's eyes showed a hint of surprise, but soon, Hitt calmed down and said, then I'll see how you get rid of it. Saying that, Hitt didn't hesitate, and when he launched the flash power directly, he attacked Son Gohan. Seeing this, Son Gohan's expression changed. Without the slightest hesitation, he quickly clenched his fists and exclaimed, ha! The next second, the Crimson 223 aura swept the 4 directions. With the raging power of the gods, the area where Son Gohan is located can be clearly seen to explode quietly. He could vaguely see Hitt's figure emerging, and it was already close at hand, and a punch hit Son Gohan's heart directly. Not good. With a change of face, Son Gohan hurriedly dodged to the side. But even if they reacted, they could not completely avoid the attack. With a bang, Hitt's blow directly hit Son Gohan's shoulder. With the blood splattering, Son Gohan's whole body was shot and flew out, and the ground was covered with bloodstains. Avoided. Success. Seeing this situation, everyone in the 7th universe suddenly stood up, all of them with surprises in their eyes. Although Son Gohan was injured, he was even attacked. But there is no doubt that Son Gohan's technique was successful, and he directly exposed Hitt's tracks. Therefore, in such a situation, Hitt is still strong, but it has also allowed them to see the opportunity and possibility of defeating each other. Avoided. After a blow, Hitt withdrew his hand and looked at Son Gohan in surprise. I didn't expect you to be able to do such a thing. I have to say, you are indeed a good opponent. Being able to evade my Shishigong under the second attack, you are the first person I have met in thousands of years. Hearing this, Son Gohan stood up from the ground while coughing up blood. Shaking his body, Son Gohan's situation was extremely bad at the moment. However, he did not mean to admit defeat, and his eyes were on Hitt and said, come again. 39. I must break your Shishigong. Saying that, Son Gohan drank again, and the already strong crimson energy intensified several times at this moment. In an instant, the entire ring was covered with Son Gohan's aura. Under such circumstances, Son Gohan endured the pain in his arm and attacked Hitt without hesitation. I look forward to it. Seeing this, Hitt smiled lightly. He didn't care that the other party wanted to break his own time flashing skills, and he has unlimited growth potential. It is precisely because of this that after the time flash skill is broken, he can continue to become stronger. Thinking of this, Hitt said immediately, so, let me try the limit of my flash power. 5. Saying that, Hitt's mind immediately activated the time flash art. In the next second, time stopped abruptly again. With a click, the crimson chi broke through the space of Shishigong, but at this moment Hitt's figure had already appeared beside Son Gohan. Another attack hit Son Gohan's other arm. What? Screaming in agony, Son Gohan's arms were pierced, and his whole body fell to the ground. After a few struggles, Son Gohan stood up from the ground again. However, his hands were unable to move at the moment. The whole person was panting, looked at Hitter unwillingly and said, sure enough, the gap is still a little too big. But before that, I have one last attempt. As he spoke, Son Gohan gritted his teeth, raised his pierced arms with difficulty, and exclaimed, ha! In the next second, the peach-red brilliance shines brightly. In just an instant, Son Gohan's aura increased dozens of times. In an instant, Son Gohan's chi soared from the original 60 streams to 2,400 streams. Cough cough. Forced to transform, Son Gohan coughed violently. Now he is not enough to hold on to this power, but in order to win, in order to force Hitt to have more strength. He can't care so much. Hitt, this is my final blow. Zero. Roaring in the mouth, Son Gohan didn't intend to continue wasting time. The whole person rushed out and attacked Hitt. Good come. Seeing this, Hitt's eyes showed a hint of surprise. Immediately afterwards, he did not hesitate to activate Time Flash. However, this time, his Shishigong was meaningless. Under the absolute power of Son Gohan's 2400 stream, the space of Shishigong was destroyed just after it was constructed. This also led to the fact that Hitt's Time Flash skill could still be used at this moment, but it was not fatal enough. Hitt, come to fight. At this moment, Son Gohan's figure appeared in the area where Hitt was, and he raised his fist and attacked him without hesitation. Good to come. Seeing this, Hitt laughed. He didn't care that Shishigong was broken, but Son Gohan's perseverance aroused his respect. Without the slightest hesitation, Hitt raised his fist and went up to meet him. In the next second, the two figures fought together in the ring. Bang bang bang, bang bang bang. A deafening roar resounded, and Hitt and Son Gohan were evenly matched. Even though Hitt's combat power is not as good as Son Gohan's, Son Gohan is seriously injured at the moment. The combat power of 2400 Gully could not be brought into play at all, plus the existence of flash power when he had to guard against it, so the strength was almost the same as the current Hitt. But everyone can see that 0.7. As it stands, Son Gohan can't be Hitt's opponent, or even Hitt's. But even so, Son Goku, Vegeta and others from the 7th universe in the arena couldn't help but get excited. Success. Found the solution. 35. Time Flash, the attack of jumping time. Since it can't be broken, then use the power of God to completely cover the whole body area, and don't give it any chance to break through. 66.99. In an instant, everyone's breathing became rapid, especially Azer and Bororian. Chapter 313. Bupa's new plan, Son Gohan's defeat. Possible. There is still hope for the 7th universe. For a time, Son Goku subconsciously shouted. He is still extremely satisfied with this result, at least as far as the current situation is concerned. This is definitely the best time. Hope? Glancing at Son Goku, Bupa shook his head. If it was before, he would think that Bororian and Azer have the possibility of defeating Hitt. But after what happened now, he can almost conclude that this time the match will definitely be the 6th universe to win. For nothing else, it's really that the power of this fellow Hitt is too strong. In addition, after this time, his Time Flash skill will continue to evolve, and a time domain will appear directly as in the original book. In that realm, Hitt's power will be greatly improved, and no one in the same realm will be able to resist. Even at the subsequent All-Universe Conference, that Jillian even had a combat power that surpassed Gods of Destruction. But it can't really ignore Hitt's existence in itself. Even in the face of Hitt's attack, it has to be taken seriously. Not to mention, the current Hitt is obviously stronger than the whole Universe Conference period. Now he is Gods of Destruction level 20, and he has the power of Gods of Destruction form, plus the Time Flash power. Even if he faces Jillian, he has the ability to fight head-on. Thinking of this, Bupa's eyes subconsciously glanced at Champa not far away. If the 6th universe wins, then the Super Dragon Ball belongs to Champa. At that time, if he wants to get the Super Dragon Ball, he must take a shot at Champa. Although it is different from his previous plan, Bupa has no better choice at the moment. Thinking of this, Bupa immediately said, Kefla, there is something I need you to do. What's the matter? Hearing this, Kefla looked at Bupa subconsciously, her eyes full of curiosity and puzzlement. Simple. The corners of his mouth rose, but Bupa didn't give a shit, and said directly, go and help me get that universe Rubik's Cube from Vados. Having said that, Bupa pointed to the universe Rubik's Cube not far away. That thing was a weapon for running away, and it was the only thing that made him feel threatened. As long as there is no universe Rubik's Cube, even Angel can't stop him. The most important thing is that universe Rubik's Cube also has a special ability, that is, it can install all those Super Dragon Balls in universe. So, if the time comes, the universe Rubik's Cube is the key. As long as you take away the universe Rubik's Cube, Bupa will be able to get all the Super Dragon Ball directly, and then, what? Hearing this, Kefla was a little dumbfounded. Universe Rubik's Cube. She knew what it was doing, too, and the main thing was that it was Vados' thing. The latter is Angel. How could he take the universe Rubik's Cube away under his nose? No need to worry. In response, Bupa smiled indifferently, and then said, not now. Wait after the game is over. At that time, Vados will not focus on the universe cube. You just need to walk to the area where it is. 5. I see. Hearing this, Kefla was relieved. It's not that she doesn't want to, but she knows that she really doesn't have the ability to take away the universe Rubik's Cube. But now it seems that Bupa intends to do it herself, and she just helps, which is not too difficult. Thinking of this, Kefla immediately nodded and said, okay, husband. When the time comes, I will go to that universe Rubik's Cube as soon as possible. Very good. Hearing this, Bupa nodded with satisfaction, reached out and scratched the tip of Kefla's nose. So, then this matter will be left to you. What? At this moment, Screams resounded throughout the area. Looking at the reputation, Son Gohan's figure flew out from the ring, smashed to the ground, and the entire population was sprayed with blood, and the injuries were extremely serious. Obviously, although Son Gohan forcibly raised his own power, he was not Hitt's opponent either. The most important thing is that Super 4 and Super Shan Gong are incompatible. This equally tormented him, which directly caused Son Gohan to be unbearable. Gohan, seeing this, Son Goku let out a hurried cry and flew up quickly. After arriving at Son Gohan's place, Son Goku quickly picked him up and galloped towards Bupa. He knew very well that the one who could save Son Gohan was the fairy beans in Bupa's hands. 7th Universe's fairy beans have long been used up, and they have not been fully planted yet. So Son Goku and others don't have any fairy beans either. Master Bupa. Soon, Son Goku came to the place where Bupa was and hurriedly said, "Please also help to see how Gohan is doing." 5. Master Bupa, please also save Gohan. Hearing this, Bupa glanced at Son Goku, took out a fairy bin and said, "Don't worry, eating one fairy bin is enough to make him return to normal." With that said, Bupa threw the bin to Son Goku and said, "Give it to him first." Yes. 95. With a promise, Son Goku breathed a sigh of relief. With Xiandu, he didn't worry about anything, and quickly put it into Son Gohan's mouth. After Xiandu had eaten, Son Gohan's injuries quickly recovered. Soon, 223 Son Gohan opened his eyes, and his face turned pale. Although he was out of danger, he still did not recover. The sequelae of the forced transformation before were quite serious, and it was almost impossible for him to recover in a short period of time. Cough cough. With a light cough in his mouth, Son Gohan struggled to stand up. After seeing Bupa, Son Goku and the others beside him, a trace of sadness flashed in his eyes, and then he said, "Sure enough, I still failed." 35. The strength of Hitt is really difficult to handle. As soon as these words came out, Son Goku quickly spoke to comfort. "Gohan, you have done a good job. You have already tried to find a way to crack the flash power, which will be of great help to Azer and the others in the future." Having said that, Son Goku seemed to think of something, and then changed his voice. "But Gohan, you are too strong now. The combination of Super 4 and Super Shan is much stronger than me. Gohan, after this matter is over, you can exercise with me and become my opponent." Hearing this, Son Gohan gave a wry smile, glanced at Son Goku and said, "Okay Dad." Immediately afterwards, Son Gohan looked at Bupa and said, "Lord Bupa, can Azer and Boruyan be Hitt's rivals? I feel like Hitt hasn't used his full strength, even." Chapter 314 Desperate People, Beerus cards. Having said this, Son Gohan pondered for a while, and then continued, "Even I feel that his power has not been fully displayed yet." As soon as these words came out, Son Goku's face changed greatly. If it's what Son Gohan said, then the 7th universe is really dangerous. Good. Glancing at Son Gohan, Bupa said indifferently, "Hitt's power has reached the 11th or even 12th level in a sense. Not only that, but with the existence of Shi Shan Gong, even a 12th order existence cannot defeat him. So whether it's you, Azer or Boruyan, they won't be his opponent in a short period of time." Hearing this, Son Gohan and Son Goku couldn't help taking a deep breath. Tier 11 combat power, comparable to level 12 strength. This level of existence has surpassed Gods of Destruction in a sense. Hitt is so terrifying. How can the 7th universe defeat him? There is another way. Suddenly, Son Goku seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes slammed to Bora, who was not far away. Fusion. As long as Gohan and Boruyan fuse, those two will definitely surpass Hitt. But, having said that, Son Goku subconsciously looked at Kefla and Kale, who were on the side, and smiled bitterly. But there are still two players in the 6th universe. Once fusion has only 30 minutes, it is impossible to continue fusion even after defeating Hitt, and it will not be possible to continue to compete as a fusion warrior. Hearing this, Son Gohan's expression became even more depressed. As Son Goku said, "In this case, the 7th universe really doesn't seem to have a chance." The battle is over. Hitt wins. At this time, Bupa's voice resounded. The 7th universe continues to send people to fight. 55. Hearing this, Beerus' face also became a little ugly at the moment. He could already see the strength of Hitt, even if it was Boruyan and Dazen who didn't have much confidence. Thinking that he would lose the game, and even that the entire Earth would belong to Champa, Beerus' face became extremely ugly. "Wait a minute." Taking a deep breath, Beerus stopped Azer, who was about to play. Immediately afterwards, he came to the area where Boruyan was located with a flick of his body. After looking at Boruyan, Beerus gritted his teeth sharply and said, "Boruyan, are you sure you can beat Hitt?" "No." Hearing this, Boruyan glanced at Beerus and then shook his head. To be honest, he is not very sure, but in fact he still has the strength to fight. But Boruyan didn't have much confidence in the cracking of Shishigong. Therefore, Boruyan did not speak to death. The most important thing is that Boruyan could vaguely see that this Beerus seemed to have some trump card. "What if I let you go one step further?" Taking a deep breath, Beerus raised his head and said, "Upgrading the basic combat power of Tier 1, you should be able to defeat Hitt. Improve your first order combat power." Hearing this, Boruyan suddenly raised his head to look at Beerus, with a hint of horror in his eyes. You must know that his current basic combat power is infinitely close to the stage of rank. If he is promoted to the first rank, then his basic combat power will reach the level of a ditch. In this way, relying on his own transformation, let alone defeating Hitt, it is even possible to crush him. As soon as he thought of this, Bbook immediately opened his mouth and said, "But how can I improve the first order combat power? It's not something that can be improved casually." Very good. In this regard, Beerus didn't care so much, took a deep breath and said, "If I knew Son Gohan had great potential, I should have chosen him before. After all, his transformation is stronger than you. But there is no way to do it now." Having said that, Beerus raised his hand and pressed it on Bbook's head, and said, "I have a special ability that can increase a person's power by one step in a short period of time. Of course, the premise of all this is that the latter's strength is weaker than mine, and you must satisfy this condition now. Now I will infuse you with divine power, and then you will be completely united with the power of gods of destruction." 35. This also means that in the future, you must rely on Super Saiyan God, so you are ready. What? Mainly the Super Ace God. Hearing this, Bbook was a little anxious. This is not what he wants to see. When he talked to Bupa before, he already knew that Quan Jiao mode is the strongest. Thinking of this, Bbook said quickly, "No, I refuse. Big brother told me that Quan Jiao bloodline is the strongest. Jiao Sai God is not suitable for me. I will not focus on Super Sai God for cultivation." Hearing this, Beerus was dumbfounded. Unexpectedly, Bbook rejected him without hesitation. Under such circumstances, he had no choice, which made Beerus unacceptable. "Lord Beerus, then let me do it." At this time, Ace stepped forward, his eyes fixed on Beerus and said, "If you can raise my combat power by one rank, from rank 7 to rank 8, then I also have the possibility of defeating Hitt." 35. Of course, even if I can't beat him, I can make sure I have the ability to seriously injure him. Hearing this, Beerus looked at Ace in astonishment. Although the latter's strength is good, Beerus doesn't think he can do this. After all, Aizen's transformation is only a golden form, and it is not even as good as Super Saiyan's increase. How is it possible? "Lord Beerus, I believe Azer will not talk nonsense." 39. At this time, Bbook on the side spoke quietly. He will not give up the super bloodline, nor will he stupidly cultivate some super race god. Even if the super, good enough, race god and god form are indeed powerful, he still believes in the power of Quan Jiao's bloodline. All right. With a sigh, although Beerus was not reconciled, there was nothing he could do now. After a little pondering, Beerus immediately said, "So, Azer will leave it to you next. Come here, relax, and I will improve your strength." "It is good." Agreeing, Azer no longer hesitated and walked to the area in front of Beerus. The next second, Beerus reached out and pressed Azer's head. With a low shout resounded, the purple-black divine power around Beerus became violent, and then rushed towards Azer's body at a speed visible to the naked eye. In an instant, the purple gods of destruction power around Azer appeared. With the passage of time, the purple divine power turned into purple-black and became the divine power exclusively for gods of destruction, not gods of destruction power. Chapter 315 The Technique of Daigo Empowerment. Azer's strength soars. At this moment, Azer's chi began to soar rapidly. 5 ditch, 50 ditch, 500 ditch. When it reached the level of 500 grooves, Azer's chi stopped growing. Ding. The bound character Azer's combat power has increased by 500 to trigger a 10-fold return. Congratulations to the host for increasing the combat power of 5,000. The system prompt sounded quietly. Bupa only felt a shock all over his body, and then the chi in his body began to soar, directly reaching the level of 5,000 grooves. At this moment, the increase in the mysterious state appeared, and Bupa's basic combat power soared again by 5 streams, 50 streams, 500 streams. It's done. Feeling his own power fluctuate, Bupa smiled. Unexpectedly, this Beerus actually has this hand, which directly improves the first-order combat power of Azer. And with a 10-fold return effect, Bupa's current basic combat power has also reached the level of 500 streams. Before that, his basic combat power was only 1,500 ditch. Now that it has reached 500 streams, it is completely different. To put it in a bad way, Beerus' operation this time directly allowed Bupa 230 to completely master the 14th order combat power. Even in such a situation, even Beerus could no longer be his opponent. Good. After applauding 3 times, Bupa took a deep look at Aiz, who was not far away, and secretly said in his heart, the basic combat power of 500 grooves, so that Aiz should be able to unlock the purple gold mode. 35. Zaijian mode. It is definitely a transformation method that surpasses the second-order super race god. From this point of view, Azer does have the power to fight against Hitt. The most important thing is that this guy now inherits the power of gods of destruction, and can even fully display the form of gods of destruction. With the superposition of the two, Azer's strength will be greatly improved, and in a sense, he has even won the gods of destruction candidate for Bbook. For a time, Bupa sighed inwardly. I thought that Bororian had become a candidate for Gods of Destruction, but after no accident, it would be Gods of Destruction in the true sense. Unexpectedly, things changed so suddenly, and Azer came first and became Gods of Destruction. Although he may still only be a candidate for Gods of Destruction, but with Beerus surpassing Gods of Destruction, it is a sure thing that Azer's replacement will become Gods of Destruction. Thinking of this, the corner of Bupa's mouth rose slightly, and then he murmured, but that's fine. It is because of this that we can have better choices and opportunities. 35. As and Boliolian are similar, no matter who the two improve, the effect on me is the same. The most important thing is that it would be too wasteful to give up Borolian's super bloodline because he became Gods of Destruction. Ha! At this moment, Azer's low roar resounded. It can be seen that the aura around him is violent at this moment. The whole person suddenly opened his eyes, the basic combat power of 500 grooves burst out, and the whole body exudes extremely terrifying aura fluctuations. Success really improved the first order basic combat power. At the same time, Son Goku and others also watched the scene in shock. Everyone was stunned by this sudden change. Beerus was able to make Azer improve his first order combat power. If this can be placed on oneself, wouldn't oneself become stronger? For a time, Son Goku and the others were short of breath and looked at Beerus with hot eyes. Including Vegeta, Son Gohan is no exception. Cough cough. However, at this moment Beerus was coughing weakly. The consumption of Azer's first-order combat power is extremely huge for him, and even the basic combat power that was originally more than 1 positive has dropped to the point of only 1 positive at this moment. But even so, Beerus didn't care, looked at Aze and said, Aze, next, you go up. Be sure to give me the guy who beat the 6th universe. Beerus will never allow itself to fail. It is not allowed to give up the entire Earth to Champa after failure. Most importantly, he knew that if he lost, Champa would be the target of Bupa, Wise, Vados. In this way, it is absolutely impossible for Champa's power to compete with it, and it is even possible to have a life-threatening worry. For this reason, Beerus just chose to be so desperate. Only by letting the 7th universe win, he can stop Champa from getting the Super Dragon Ball and stop him being targeted and calculated by Bupa and others. Yes. As soon as he agreed, Aze didn't hesitate, and jumped into the ring. Beerus, you are shameless. You are Kaigogo's cheating. At this time, Champa was roaring in exasperation. He never imagined that Beerus would pay such a price to win. What made him even more unacceptable was that Beerus's methods obviously would lose his own potential and strength. This is also unacceptable for Champa. Although the two bicker and have friction, they are brothers after all. Champa, stop the nonsense. In response, Beerus glared at Champa angrily, without explaining anything. He knew very well that it was pointless to explain anything by himself in the current situation. The most important thing is that if he exposes the plans of Weiss and others, he himself will fall into a huge crisis. Thinking of this, Beerus immediately said, Weiss, restore my strength to me. Okay, Lord Beerus. With a slight smile, Weiss understood what Beerus was doing, so he didn't hesitate any longer, stepped forward and waved his scepter to treat Beerus. After a while, Beerus' injury recovered as before, but his own combat power had not recovered, and he still lost thousands of streams. But Beerus didn't care anymore. His eyes followed the area of the ring, and muttered, Aze, if you can't make this Gods of Destruction satisfied, then don't blame me for destroying you. 99. This time, Beerus made a big splash. Therefore, his expectations for Aze are also extremely huge. If the latter fails, then he will never give up. Hit, your opponent is me. In the ring, Azer didn't know what Beerus said. At this moment, he looked at where Hit was, and said with great fighting intent, You? Glancing at Aze, Hit shook his head and said, Although the 7th universe Gods of Destruction has boosted your power, you are still not my opponent now. You don't seem to be Saiyan, and you shouldn't transform like them. Having said that, Hit did not continue to speak, but the meaning of the words was self-evident. Chapter 316 Azer's Platinum Form. Saiyan. 99. No tilde, I'm not a Saiyan monkey. Glancing at Hit, the corners of Azer's mouth rose, and then he said, But just like that, I'm enough to deal with you. My frozen demons are not inferior to what he calls Saiyan tilde. And under the current situation, your time-flashing skills can't be useful to me. As he spoke, Aze stepped out one step at a time, and the white and silver brilliance around him could be seen. In the next second, Azer turned into a silver form. In an instant, his basic combat power soared, 5,000 ditch, 5 gully, 50 gully. After reaching 50 streams, Azer's expression became solemn at this moment, and he said, This is the transformed form of my frozen demon clan. I call it the silver form, which can enhance its own combat power by 1,000 times. But this is just the first transformation. Let you see a stronger transformation. While speaking, Aze clenched his fists tightly, and exclaimed, Ha! In the next second, the golden brilliance covered Azer's whole body at a speed visible to the naked eye. In an instant, Azer's aura began to grow, 500 streams, 5,000 streams, 5 positives, 50 positives, 500 positives, 2,000 positives. When it reached the level of 2,000, Azer's breath stopped growing. What's the situation? How is this possible? Seeing this, countless people exclaimed, including Frieza is no exception. You must know that although the golden form is not inferior to the Super Saiyan increase, it is impossible to reach such a level. Aizen was able to become so much stronger all at once, which gave the impression that it was completely based on the silver form. But the white-eyed form and the golden form are obviously two different incarnations. Why can Azer be compatible with them? Look at Azer. He doesn't look like Frieza's golden model. Suddenly, Vegeta seemed to notice something, and subconsciously shouted. Hearing this, Son Gohan and others in the arena also looked sideways subconsciously, including Bupa et al. After all, Azer's promotion this time is really powerful, and it even makes people feel incredible. Looking closely, it can be seen that AI's in the ring has changed a lot in appearance at this moment, and his body is exuding golden brilliance, but it is not in the form of gold, but surrounded by many white and silver lines. Under such circumstances, AI's looked even more bizarre and domineering, and even gave off an evil and handsome feeling. For a time, everyone's expressions changed, and while looking at each other, they muttered, silver form and gold form are superimposed together. It's unbelievable, Azer has actually completed such a transformation ability. It is not inferior to the transformation form of Super Saiyan, and now the two are superimposed together. Azer's transformation is not even inferior to Super Saiyan's dark blue mode. In an instant, everyone's breathing was rapid. Unexpectedly, the frozen demon race has such potential and can reach such a powerful level. Especially Frieza, his eyes were hot at the moment, and he muttered, the ancient frozen demon bloodline. Is this the power of the ancient frozen demon bloodline? It's unbelievable. If I can do this too, neither Son Goku nor Vegeta can be my opponent. For a time, Frieza's breathing was short, and his eyes subconsciously looked at Bupa. You must know that the blood of the ancient frozen demon race was given to Azer by Bupa. If he can still get it, does that mean that he also has such an opportunity? Thinking of this, Frieza couldn't restrain the impulse and desire in his heart at all. Not only him, but also the surrounding Vegeta and others all looked serious at the moment, and the eyes looking at Azer were full of awe and alertness. Good guy. This Azer really gave me a big surprise. Bupa was also surprised at the moment. He also did not expect that Azer could complete such a transformation. He thought that he was only able to complete the purple gold form, but he did not expect that the silver form and the gold form could be superimposed together. If this is the case, doesn't it mean that the purple gold forms are likely to be superimposed on each other, or even exist on top of this form? In this way, the ordinary Saiyan's Super Ace God transformation is really not his opponent, and there is no comparison at all. Zero ask for flowers 0. Good guy. This Azer has such great potential. Broly opened his mouth and said subconsciously, brother, did you accept Azer's apprentices because you saw that Azer's potential was so powerful? Such potential, and the transformation that is not inferior to Super Saiyan Deep Blue, Aze is really terrifying. Hearing this, Bupa smiled slightly. How did he know this? But it was impossible for him to deny anything until now. After pondering for a while, Bupa said, I know that Azer has a lot of potential, but I didn't expect him to reach such a level. 35. However, from the current situation, this matter is also good news for us. 35. Point 0. If Azer can beat Hitt, then I don't need to take the 6th universe Gods of Destruction Champa. Having said this, Bupa's eyes subconsciously looked at Kefla and Clame beside him. With the strength of 2 women, even in the face of Azer, there is not much chance of winning, so in such a situation, once Hitt loses, it will be a complete end. Hitter, come on. 35. On the ring, Aze, who had completed his transformation, was in high spirits. His eyes locked on Hitt. His eyes were full of fighting intent. Really good. Your strength is truly shocking. At this time, Hitt also came back to his senses. His eyes locked on Ace's body, and he said slowly, I never thought that after the power of Gods of Destruction was empowered, you would actually be able to reach such a level. 99. Even without the empowerment of Gods of Destruction, your combat power is probably not much inferior to mine. Aze, the frozen demon of the 7th universe, has to admit that you are indeed a good opponent. While speaking, Hitt stepped out and attacked Azer when Shi Shan Gong launched. Seeing this situation, Aze's eyes flashed brightly, and the white gold brilliance all over his body shone brightly. In the next second, Hitt's figure appeared in an area. Got you. Without the slightest hesitation, Azer jumped up without hesitation and attacked Hitt. In the next second, Azer's figure arrived at Hitt's place, and with one punch, Hitt was knocked out of the body. Chapter 317 Gods of Destruction. Broken. Time Flash is really broken. Seeing this situation, everyone in the 6th universe and 7th universe outside the venue exclaimed. Time Flash was broken. Hitt was injured. This also means that Azer's action was successful. In this case, wouldn't it make sense to defeat Hitt? Thinking of this, everyone's breathing is short, and their eyes are full of anticipation and eagerness. After all, once Azer wins, it means that the 7th universe will definitely win. After all, although the 6th universe still has the existence of Kefla and Kefla, Their strength is completely incomparable with Hitt. Thinking of this, Son Goku and others were overjoyed. Cheating. Kaigogo's cheating. Beerus, you are so shameless. Seeing this situation, Champa was in a hurry. Hitt is the ultimate trump card of the 6th universe. If he fails, his bet will fail. For a moment, Champa looked at Beerus with anger in his eyes. The latter won't hesitate to sacrifice his thousands of battle strength to win himself, which is absolutely unthinkable and even unacceptable to him. Champa, winner or loser. In this regard, Beerus was extremely indifferent, glanced at Champa and said, now you only have the path of defeat. Damn. 35. Hearing this, Champa was furious. But at this moment, he has no way to do anything. After all, the battle has already started, and it is impossible for him to improve Hitt's strength. Thinking of this, Champa forcibly endured the displeasure in his heart, turned his head and roared, Hitter, kill him for me. Don't hide it, go all out to defeat that guy. 35. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of everyone in the 6th universe and 7th universe changed. According to Champa's words, the latter obviously still has whole cards. If this is the case, it also means that if this matter is a little careless, then what awaits them is complete failure. Thinking of this, everyone couldn't help breathing quickly. The eyes of the 7th universe, who were still cheering, also gathered on the ring. In the present case, only to see where the limits of Hitt are. If his limit is not high, he still has the power to fight. But if his limit exceeds A's, then there will be accidents in this battle. It's really a powerful method. On the ring, Hitter reached out and wiped the blood stains on the corner of his mouth, then looked at A's not far away. Frozen demon, you really shouldn't be underestimated. But just like that, it's not enough to beat me. As he spoke, the aura around Hitt gushed out, and then the purple-black divine power gushed out. At this moment, the power of Hitt's whole body became violent, and he directly entered the Gods of Destruction mode. In an instant, the basic combat power of the system began to soar rapidly. 5,000 streams, 5 points, 50 points, 500 points, 5,000 points, 2 plants. When it reached the level of 2, Hitt's divine power stopped growing. A terrifying sense of oppression swept out at this moment, directly covering Azer's body. In the next second, Hitt raised his head and said, now your basic combat power is not as good as mine, so you can't break my time flash. Hearing this, Azer's expression changed slightly. At the same time, the rest of the 7th universe people outside the arena also turned pale. Unexpectedly, after displaying the Gods of Destruction mode, this Hitt's power can reach such a level, especially Beerus. At this moment, his brows were slightly wrinkled, and he muttered, damn, it's still a step too late. If Azer can be taught in advance, then he can also display the Gods of Destruction mode, and then he will be able to completely crush the sky. But under the current circumstances, Azer can't display the Gods of Destruction mode, and he has absolutely no ability to fight against it. At this moment, Beerus' face turned ashen. I thought Azer could turn the tide of the battle, but I didn't expect that Hitt's Gods of Destruction form would completely break it. For a time, everyone's faces became extremely ugly. So far, they don't know what to do. If Azer is not an opponent, then even Borolian cannot compete with him. After all, Borolian's basic combat power is not as good as Azer's now. Even if it is the superposition of Super Tournament and Quan Super Mode, its own combat power is not enough to reach the level of 12th rank. Damn it! With a curse in his mouth, Beerus felt extremely depressed. If it fails, Champa will be the target of criticism. But under the current circumstances, Azer seems to have no choice. Subconsciously, Beerus said, Champa, don't be too happy. 5. As has not failed yet. Cut. Hearing this, Champa disagreed and waved his hand. Beerus, you think too much. 35. As far as Azer's 11th tier combat power is concerned, how can it compare to 12th tier Hitt? In addition to the existence of Time Flash, even if I use the Gods of Destruction mode to reach the 12th order combat power, I may not be able to get Hitt, let alone you are a frozen demon in the 7th universe. At this moment, Champa was full of confidence. Even he has foreseen the scene where he will win the final victory. Battle. 99. In the ring, Aze didn't admit defeat, took a deep breath and attacked Hitt without hesitation. However, at this moment, Hitt was extremely indifferent. Looking at the attacking Azer, he stood motionless. In the next second, Azer's figure appeared in the area where Aze was located. Just when he raised his fist to attack, the accident also broke out at this moment. What? The screams resounded, and Hitt displayed the time flash. In just an instant, Azer's whole body fell to the ground, and blood gushed out from his mouth. One strike. Just one blow has already seriously injured Aze. Two kinds of power, definitely not Azer 500 is now able to resist and compare. For a while, the whole place was silent. The joyful expressions of everyone in the 7th universe came to an abrupt end, and it was hard to say anything else. Without him, there is really a huge gap between the two. In such a situation, there is absolutely no possibility to match. Cough cough. At this moment, a coughing sound resounded. Looking at the reputation, I could see that Aze in the ring slowly stood up, touching the vital spot where he was attacked. Azer's eyes flashed with a haze, and he murmured, "It's really a terrifying force. It seems that just relying on the platinum form developed by me can't beat you." 35. Chapter 318 Azer Gods of Destruction form, suppressed Hitt. As he spoke, Aze slowly raised his head to look at where Hitt was, and then said, "If that's the case, then I'm not hiding it anymore. This is also my last resort. If I can't help you, then I have no choice." As he spoke, Aze clenched his fists and started to drink slowly. Ho-ho. For a time, Azer's breath began to soar rapidly. Under such circumstances, Hitt in the far area frowned. From his vision, he could naturally see that the current Azer was full of flaws. As long as he made a move, he would be able to completely defeat him. But Hitt thought about it for a while and finally chose to give up. Compared with defeating Azer like this, he was more curious about the latter's ultimate means. Thinking of this, Hitt no longer insisted on anything, but began to look curiously at where Azer was. The last resort. As still has the means to transform. 66.99. At the same time, everyone from the 7th universe outside the venue also looked at him. You must know that the platinum state developed by Azer is no less than the transformed form of Super Saiyan Dark Blue. Now that he still has 20 other means that he has yet to use, doesn't that mean that he can still become stronger? Thinking of this, the eyes of Son Goku and others all showed curiosity, especially Frieza. At this moment, he seemed to have thought of something, and said excitedly, "Purple gold form. Is it the final form of the ancient frozen demon? If this is the case, then Azer will definitely be able to defeat Hitt, and he will definitely have a stronger power than that." For a while, the entire area was quiet. Under the gazes of everyone, Azer's low roar continued. Suddenly, Azer's low roar quietly increased. At this moment, the aura around Azer's body became violent, and purple-black aura could be seen emerging. But his appearance did not change, but entered the form of Gods of Destruction. At this moment, Azer's breath began to soar rapidly. 5,000 rang, 5 rang, 50 rang, 500 rang, 5,000 rang. Having reached the level of 5,000 rang, Azer's combat power also soared to within the 12th order. At this moment, even within the 12th order combat power, Azer is considered an extremely powerful existence, form of Gods of Destruction. 359. How is this possible? How did Azer finish his Gods of Destruction form so quickly? For a time, countless exclamations resounded. Everyone present was stunned by this sudden scene. I thought that Azer was going to show a transformation beyond the platinum form, but I didn't expect the latter to show the Gods of Destruction form. Even if Beerus taught him the power of Gods of Destruction before, it is logically impossible to master it so quickly. Like Boron, even the Gods of Destruction candidates took a long time to master the Gods of Destruction mode even under the teachings of Beerus and Weiss. Now that Aiz has actually displayed it, and it has only been a short period of time, it is incredible. Good. The Lord sat down and Beerus burst out laughing. Although I don't know what happened, from the current situation, this thing is really surprising. The most important thing is that Azer has completed the form of Gods of Destruction, which means that the 7th universe still has the possibility of victory. Thinking of this, Beerus' originally worried emotions disappeared. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. On the other hand, Champa's expression was extremely difficult to see. The outbreak of Azer made it difficult for him to accept the same 12th order combat power, but there are also high and low points. In addition, Azer is stronger, which means that Hitt's time flash technique will not have much possibility of success. Therefore, in such a situation, Hitt really has no absolute certainty to win. This also makes Champa worried. Once Hitt fails, then, after completing the breakthrough, Aze gasped a little, then raised his head to look at Hitt not far away and said, "I made you wait for a long time. It's up to us to decide the winner." Hearing this, Hitt nodded, but there was no major change in his expression. Taking a step forward, Hitt said indifferently, "Come on, let's have a showdown." 359. War. Hearing this, Aze no longer hesitated, and with a low growl in his mouth, he attacked Hitt without hesitation. In the next second, the purple-black divine power had already covered the entire arena, completely blocking the possibility of flashing power. In this regard, Hitt did not show the slightest cowardice, and immediately launched the time flash skill to attack Azer. 35. But unfortunately, his time flash power obviously can't stop the thousands of battle power gap between the two sides. This also led to the fact that the realm of Shishigong was broken in just an instant, and Azer did not hesitate to launch an attack on it. For a time, the two figures were fighting together on the field. Bang bang bang. Bang bang bang. The deafening roar resounded, and the battle between Azer and Hitt became more and more intense, and even entered the final white hot in a short period of time. Under such circumstances, everyone in the arena also held their breaths and stared at the situation in the battlefield. With the passage of time, the battle between Azer and Hitt has entered 233 to the most intense level. With one punch, Azer directly repelled Hitt's figure. At this moment, Hitt's momentum came to an abrupt end. Like a deflated ball, Hitt immediately began to fall into passive. With the continuous attacks of Azer, Hitt kept retreating, and there were countless scars all over his body. It is good. Here you go. Seeing this, everyone in the 7th universe, including Son Goku, was very surprised. Hitt, come on. 39. Hitt, don't give up. At the same time, Kefla and others from the 6th universe also started to cheer on Hitt. Both of them are 12th order combat power, which has absolutely no comparable hope for them. Therefore, once Hitt is defeated, the 6th universe will be completely defeated. Similarly, once Azer loses, the entire 7th universe can almost fail. For a time, including Bupa had to be serious. Hitt and Azer, the outcome of the two is also very important to him. Under such circumstances, Hitt's figure was losing ground in the ring, while Aizen became more and more brave. Even with the passage of time, Hitt's complexion became more and more pale, and it seemed that he had reached the end of the force. Chapter 319. When the flash power evolves, Hitt loses. What? At this moment, a scream resounded quietly. Looking at the reputation, it can be seen that Hitt's figure was severely hit in the lower abdomen. In an instant, the aura around Hitt dissipated, and even the form of Gods of Destruction withdrew at this moment. In an instant, Hitt's combat power returned to Tier 10, which also made him unable to resist the bombardment of Tier 12 Azerite forces. It's a win. Seeing this situation, everyone in the 7th universe cheered instantly. Everyone could see that Hitt was at the end of his streak at the moment, and even Azer would definitely win. As long as Azer is defeated, there is no need to be afraid at all. After all, the remaining Kefla and of the 6th universe are around the 9th order. For a time, everyone present was breathing rapidly. Everyone, including the 6th universe, was worried to the extreme at this moment. Hitt, let me down. At this moment, Aze quietly drank. Immediately afterwards, Aze no longer hesitated, and immediately raised his hand to aim at Hitt not far away. Without the slightest hesitation, Azer and Kefla attacked Hitt directly. When the crisis struck, Hitt's expression changed slightly. At this moment, he has completely sensed the gap between the two sides, as well as the danger of this blow to himself. Without caring about anything else, Hitt suddenly took his hands out of his pockets, took a deep breath and said, Shishigong. Click. The sound of shattering resounded, and it could be seen that the flash field had just appeared and was completely destroyed by Azer's breath. It's just that Hitt didn't have any obstacles this time, and started to run his own power to control it madly. This also caused Hitt's face to turn paler and paler. Shi Shan Gong was broken again and again, and his own strength was also rapidly draining. Seeing Kefla getting closer and closer, Hitt stood still and didn't dodge. At this moment, he was still frantically using the flash skill. Seeing that Kefla was about to spread to Hitt, a shattering sound resounded quietly. Kaka. At this moment, a deafening roar resounded. It could be seen that the entire arena was shaken, and the ground was rapidly collapsing under the attack of Kefla. The power beyond Gods of Destruction directly caused the ring to collapse. Successful. Win. 99. In an instant, the people of the 7th universe cheered. Judging from the current situation, Hitt has been attacked by Kefla, and even if he doesn't die, he will be knocked out of the ring. However, the faces of Bupa, Beerus, Weiss and Vados were also extremely serious at the moment. They all saw what happened at the last moment, and at that moment Hitt's figure really disappeared. This also means that Hitt's time flash has evolved, and he has avoided this fatal blow. It seems that this time the victory of the 6th universe is beyond doubt. Taking a deep breath, Bupa's eyes flashed, and Hitt's final victory was already determined. Although there is still a gap between the two sides, as long as Hitt activates the form of Gods of Destruction and cooperates with the time flash after the promotion, then Azer is absolutely impossible to be an opponent. Thinking of this, Bupa looked at Champa beside him, thinking about when to shoot. Da. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps broke the cheers in the arena. Looking at the reputation, it can be seen that outside the arena in the area behind Aze, Hitt's figure appeared quietly. After standing firm, Hitt frowned, subconsciously turned his head to look at the arena, and looked puzzled. Hitt 1 inch. It's Hitt. How did he get here? 55. This scene immediately made everyone in the 6th universe and 7th universe dumbfounded, including Bupa, Beerus and Champa in midair were also full of stunned faces. They didn't believe that Hitt's time defense would make such a mistake, so why did he fly out of the ring all of a sudden? The most important thing is that Hitt himself still looks unbelievable, which means that he doesn't know why he appeared on the sidelines. Suddenly, Bupa seemed to think of something and turned to look at Weiss and Vados. If nothing else, it must have been one of the two who made the move just now. Time flash. Even if it has evolved, it is still a kind of power of time. This also means that Weiss and Vados, who are angels, can play tricks in the dark. After all, they don't want to see the 6th universe win. Their purpose is to help themselves. No, it should be said to help carries. Hitt, what are you doing? At this moment, Champa's angry voice resounded. It is also extremely difficult for Champa to accept that the system operation error occurred outside the ring. Even to say something unpleasant, he could not wait to beat Hitt directly. I lost. Hearing this, Hitt also came back to his senses. Although he guessed that there might be other people taking action, he didn't say it. For nothing else, the latter was able to use his flash power after his evolution, which meant that the latter was much stronger than himself. Since it is not an opponent, it is impossible for Hitt to pursue anything, and that will only put himself in danger. The main thing is that this time the battle has already satisfied him. Shishigong has evolved, and now his Shishigong is truly powerful and perfect. The 6th universe system failed, the 7th universe Azer was victorious. In the far area, Bupa quietly opened his mouth to announce the result. Although he understands that all this is a secret operation, he is still extremely satisfied that he can save himself some things. We won. At the same time, Son Goku and others also cheered at the moment. It's unbelievable, but the fact is that they deserved the victory. And in such a situation, the remaining Kefla and Gale can't be as his opponents either. Thinking of this, Son Goku, Son Gohan, and Vegeta all breathed a sigh of relief. Borolian was also relieved. If it was him, he wouldn't be sure to beat Hitt. After all, his ultimate combat power is only at the level of 11th order, and he has not reached the terrifying strength of 12th order at all. Did you win? In the ring, Aze frowned. He vaguely sensed that something was wrong. He even felt that he had a sense of crisis before, which should have been caused by Hitt's attack on him. But that kind of induction was only fleeting, and then Hitt appeared in the area outside the ring. This also means that there must be someone to help, or even to eliminate Hitt in secret. This also means that his Azer has no real victory, even. Chapter 320 Trading Champa, The Birth of Kefla. 6th Universe, it's time to dispatch the next contestant. At this time, Bupa spoke quietly to break the silence in the arena. By now, the duel between the 6th universe and the 7th universe has become clear. Without the existence of Hitt, Kefla and Kale would not be as his opponents either. So, this game has almost no meaning. Damn. Seeing this, Champa glared at Bupa, and then his eyes focused on Kefla and Kyle. Although he was not reconciled, Champa also understood that if it was just Kefla and Kyle, then there was absolutely no possibility of their opponents. Champa, do you want me to help you? Seeing this, Bupa's eyes flashed, and he immediately said, I can give Kefla and Kale the power to fight Azer. What? Hearing this, Champa looked at Bupa in astonishment. Not only him, but everyone in the 7th universe looked at Bupa in astonishment. I don't understand why he would say such words. After all, they are allies. What are your conditions? Raising his brows, Champa looked at Bupa puzzled and said, 233. Don't tell me that you have no purpose. It's impossible. After all, I can see that you came with Beerus and the others, and it is impossible to help the 6th universe. As soon as these words came out, Beerus and others also looked at Bupa curiously. After all, they were also curious about what Bupa wanted from Champa. Simple, if you win, then the authority to make a wish this time in the Super Dragon Ball belongs to me. With an indifferent smile, Bupa didn't give a shit and immediately said, Hearing this, Champa was dumbfounded. Super Dragon Ball wish permission? What the lad needs is this, then he can completely wait for the 7th universe to win. He didn't think that Beerus didn't agree to each other. After all, the relationship between Beerus and Bupa seemed to be good before. One word to promise or not to promise. Seeing Champa's puzzled look, Bupa didn't waste any time and said calmly, if you don't agree, the 6th universe will definitely fail. But if you say yes, the 6th universe still has a chance of winning. 99. Hearing this, Champa fell silent. The possibility of victory, it definitely means a lot to him. After all, he doesn't want to lose to Beerus. Thinking of this, Champa gritted his teeth, looked up at Bupa and said, I promise you, if 6th universe wins, the wishing rights to the Super Dragon Ball are yours. Now, can you talk about how to make Kefla and Kale reach the point where they can rival Azer? As soon as these words came out, Beerus and others also looked at Bupa curiously. After all, Azer's strength is beyond doubt, and the combat power of 12th rank is not at all the level that Kefla and Kale can achieve. Simple. With an indifferent smile, Bupa immediately took out a pair of battery earrings as soon as he thought about it, and said, of course they can't be Azer's opponents if they fight alone, but if they are combined, it will be different. 99. If Kefla and Kale combined, then their power will be greatly improved, and then they will have the power to fight Azer. Combine battery earrings. After listening to Bupa's remarks, Champa and the others were suddenly enlightened. Immediately afterwards, Beerus subconsciously said, this should be illegal. 5. Beerus. However, before Beerus could finish speaking, Champa on the side was the first to speak. Once they are combined, Kefla and Kale are one person, and there is absolutely no intention of breaking the rules. The big deal is that if they fail to combine, then the next two battles of my 6th universe will be considered a failure. To this day, Champa has gone all out. After all, with the current situation, if they don't fit together, there is really no hope for the 6th universe. Okay. 35. Hearing this, Beerus glanced at Champa, then shrugged and agreed. He could also see that the previous battle was a secret shot, and this person is likely to be Weiss and Vados. He was worried before because Bupa might take a shot at Champa, but it's different now. Champa has reached an agreement with Bupa. Under such circumstances, even if the 7th universe fails, Champa will not have any problems. You are acquainted. Looking at Beerus gratefully, Champa understood that it was Beerus letting him but he didn't care so much at the moment, looked at the battery earring in Bupa's hand and said, Califera, the two of you are fitting together now. This time, we must win and never fail. 39. Yes, Lord Champa. As soon as they agreed, Califla and Claw looked at each other, and immediately looked at Bupa and said, Husband, how do you use these earrings? 5. Husband, can we really become one person? 35. Certainly. With an indifferent smile, Bupa glanced at Califra and Kyle, and then said, You can put the battery earrings on your ears, but don't wear them in the same area. Yes, it is good. As soon as they agreed, Califla and Claw no longer hesitated, and reached out to take the battery earrings and put them on. Buzz tilde. Add. The buzzing resounded, and Battra's earrings shone brightly. Immediately afterwards, it could be clearly seen that the silhouettes of Califra and Keo were fused together at a speed visible to the naked eye. After a while, the brilliance dissipated. You can see Kefla's figure appearing in the area of the arena. System, check Kefla's information. Seeing this situation, Bupa immediately issued an order to the system. In the next second, Kefla's message appeared in the area in front of him. Kefla, race, Saiyan, bloodline, superior bloodline, combat strength, 8000 rank, transformation, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Quinkao 2, Super Saiyan Green, 8000 basic combat power. Not bad. After reading Kefla's message, Bupa nodded with satisfaction. 8000 rank basic combat power. Coupled with the transformation ability that Kefla has now mastered, he indeed has the power to fight against Azer. Thinking of this, Bupa immediately said, Go. Your fusion only has half an hour. If you can't beat Azer in half an hour, it's a failure. 39. Also, in addition to Azer, the Seventh Universe and Boluolian have not yet appeared. Yes, sir. With a promise, Kefla no longer hesitated, and they all understood that they had to race against time. With a flick of her figure, Kefla immediately entered the ring. Chapter 321. The Super Ace God of Kefla. The birth of the 12th order combat power. Add. Azer, Kefla will beat you. On the ring, Kefla looked at Aze in front of him with excitement. For such a powerful opponent, Kefla was extremely excited, and even longed to fight against it. Mistress. Glancing at Kefla, Aze clasped his fists and bowed respectfully without any leaps. He knew very well that Kefla in front of him was Bupa's woman, and Azer did not dare to slack off. Hearing this, Kefla was a little embarrassed. Although Kefla is a warrior of Califla and Claw fusion, he is actually an independent and completely new personality. Now Azer's words really made her a little shy, but Kefla also knew very well that she didn't have much time. Less nonsense. 35. With a wave of her hand, Kefla immediately said without hesitation, Then I'll start now. Aze, right, you are not allowed to show mercy to me. I hate people looking down on me the most. Yes, mistress. Nodding, Aze also understood that he could not lose. Although he respects Bupa, and even respects Kefla, who is a teacher, but his biggest is to strike lightly. Very good. 33. Seeing this, Kefla nodded in satisfaction. Immediately afterwards, she no longer hesitated. She stepped forward, clenched her fists tightly and said, Ha! In the next second, Kefla directly transformed into a Super 3 form, and his combat power soared by 800 times. In an instant, Kefla's combat power reached 640 dig. After doing all this, Kefla clenched her fists again and drank in a low voice, Not enough, far from enough. 35. Transmission mode, open it for me. In the next second, the grass-green energy around Kefla's body spewed out. In just an instant, Kefla's chi increased by 1000 times, reaching a level of 64 streams. As a fusion warrior, Kefla's own bloodline has already reached an advanced level, and the strength enhancement after the transformation has also increased. Before everyone could return to their senses, Kefla's low roar resounded again. It can be seen that lightning beats all over his body, and he directly enters the form of Quan Jiao 2, and his own combat power is increased by 10 times to 640 streams. But even so, Kefla's power is still far from the current Azer. For a time, everyone on and off the field also frowned. They can all see that the current Kefla is strong, but it is not enough to defeat Azer. Bupa, are you kidding me? Almost instantly, Champa said, with the current situation of Kefla, how can it be possible to defeat Azer? As soon as these words came out, the eyes of the 6th Universe and the 7th Universe also turned to where Bupa was. Although they believed in Bupa in their hearts, they could not help but doubt in their hearts at this moment. Don't worry, keep watching. In this regard, Bupa is extremely indifferent. Glancing at Champa, he said, Kefla has yet to exert his full power. 35. And the limit of Kefla itself is not comparable to ordinary people, even me. Broly and Bluolian can't compare. As soon as these words came out, Broly and Bluo were shocked. Although they don't know what the meaning of Bupa's remarks are, and what the confidence is, they also believe that the latter can't speak nonsense. Subconsciously, the two of them also looked at Kefla on the ring, expecting in their hearts, could there be a more powerful transformation? Or is it that Kefla has transformed and surpassed us? Not only them, but also Son Goku, Vegeta, Son Gohan, Gabe, Carl and others all looked towards the ring. At this moment, Kefla's low roar resounded again. It can be seen that its body began to grow, and in the blink of an eye it reached a height of more than 5 meters. In an instant, Kefla's chi increased 100 times again, and his combat power reached a level of 6.4 positive. Tier 11 combat power. Not bad, not bad. It has indeed become a lot stronger. Seeing this situation, everyone in the 6th universe and the 7th universe looked solemn. No one dared to underestimate Kefla, who had reached the 11th level combat power, and no one dared to slack off. Senior Lady Kefla, if this is all your strength, then you are not my opponent. On the ring, Aze glanced at Kefla, who had finished transforming, and then said unceremoniously, after all, his combat power seems to have reached the level of 12th order. If Kefla is only like this, it is really impossible to be his opponent. Zero asked for flowers. Of course I know it's not your match now. 35. In response, Kefla grinned, looked up at Aze and said, I'm just trying out the power of my super game and super transfer mode. Only relying on this power, I am indeed not your opponent. 35. As he said that, under everyone's astonished gaze, Kefla immediately dissipated the transformation of the super tournament and Quan super mode. Seeing this situation, everyone was dumbfounded. He looked at Kefla in confusion, not knowing what she was thinking. At this time, Kefla spoke quietly, next, I'll let you see the Super Saiyan God transformation that belongs to me only. Saying that, Kefla clenched her fists tightly, and said, open. The next second, grass green air spewed out, and it could be seen that Kefla immediately entered the Super Race God Green. In an instant, Kefla's breath soared rapidly, reaching a level of 84 in the blink of an eye. Is this Super Saiyan God Green? There is a brand new second-order transformation of the Super Race God. Seeing this situation, the people from the 6th universe and the 7th universe outside the arena were a little stunned. I never imagined that things would turn out like this. And looking at this posture, it seems that Kefla has not completely perfected his transformation. After all, this Super Saiyan Green doesn't seem as simple as it seems. Master, this is not my opponent either. Aze shook his head and said unceremoniously, go all out. 55. If your strength can't reach the 12th order level, it can't be my opponent. Hearing this, Kefla grinned, looked at Aze and said, of course I know this. Aze, look at it next. This is my real second-order Super Race God. With a low drink, Kefla's whole body began to have lightning beating. The transformation power of Quan Jiao 2 and Super Saiyan Green are combined. At this moment, the chi in Kefla's body soared to a level of 64. At this moment, the battle power of the 12th order poured. Chapter 322 Defeated Kefla, 7th Universe Victory. Tier 12 Combat Power. 9. Kefla's strength has also reached level 12. In an instant, everyone in the 6th universe outside the field cheered. Everyone was stunned by this sudden scene. Unexpectedly, Kefla, who was already the limit of the 11th order, could actually become stronger again, directly reaching the 12th order. Tier 12 Combat Power, which is not inferior to Azer at all. Under such circumstances, although there are still some gaps, the two sides still have the strength to fight. Good guy. The second rank of Super Saiyan can actually fuse with Quan Super mode. Too strong. Kefla's potential is so huge. We can't do this kind of transformation. 6699. Broly and Bluolian couldn't help exclaiming at the moment. They were all stunned by the transformation of Kaifu 243 this time, and even felt incredible from the bottom of their hearts. After all, they can achieve the combination of Kasai and Quan Kao before, and they are very clear about the power of this. But the way of combining Super Saiyan and Quan Jiao like Kefla's is simply unbelievable, even unbelievable. Nothing is impossible. With an indifferent smile, Bupa glanced at Broly and said, it's different from you and me and Bororian. 55. The Saiyans of the 6th universe have no tails, which means that they are extremely peaceful. If the Saiyan bloodline of the 7th universe comes from the ordinary Saiyan bloodline of ancient times and the Saiyan bloodline of evil, the Saiyan of the 6th universe is inherited from the Super Saiyan lineage, so although they can't interpret their own blood to the extreme, they also have unique advantages on the road of Super Saiyan God. Especially, Kefla is the fusion body of Caulifla and Gale, and the advantages in their bodies are infinitely amplified, which has led to her ability to reach such a level. 35. I see. After listening to Bupa's remarks, Broly nodded in understanding. Also understood is Son Goku. No wonder Kefla was able to transform into the super transcendent mode in the form of the Super Saiyan. It turned out that all of this was also due to the bloodline. Thinking of this, Son Goku clenched his fists subconsciously, and was even more eager for the blood of the Super Saiyan God. For a time, there were still some tangled emotions in the heart, but at this moment, it seemed to be relieved a lot. It doesn't seem impossible to surrender to Bupa. After all, only he can really help me become stronger. Muttering inwardly, Son Goku's eyes subconsciously looked at where Bupa was, and he was determined to talk to Bupa after this matter was over. Not only him, Vegeta, including the area not far from the moment, is also full of strong will at the moment. But he, like Son Goku, plans to find Bupa after this is over. After all, there are so many people in the field. If Bupa refuses at that time, it will be disgraceful. A's, come to fight. In the ring, Kefla was not hesitating. After completing his transformation, he attacked Azer without hesitation. She knew very well that her current situation could not last too long, and she was not necessarily Azer's opponent. Therefore, it must be strong first, and it must be completely defeated by looking for an opportunity. Mistress, I'm offended. Seeing this situation, Aze didn't hesitate, and immediately walked up to meet him. Bang bang bang, bang bang bang. For a time, the two figures were fighting together in the ring. With the passage of time, both Azer and Kefla used professional English. Especially for Kefla, her potential has been interpreted to the extreme at this moment. Almost every minute, her strength will increase by about 10, and it seems that there is no limit. But even so, Kefla is still not Azer's opponent. As the battle between the two sides became more and more intense, Azer did not continue to show mercy. With a continuous increase of power, Kefla also fell into the disadvantage, and even stepped into the footsteps of Hitt. Damn it, I still can't beat it. Seeing this, Champa clenched his fists, his eyes full of unwillingness. Although Kefla has reached the 12th order combat power. But to be honest, she is not as good as the current Hitt. Although its combat power is stronger, when Hitt is holding it, the flash power is the absolute killer move. On the other hand, Kefla does not have any powerful fighting skills and means, nor does it have such means as Kaioken, Ultra Instinct. In this case, time flies by quickly. In the blink of an eye, almost half an hour has passed. Kefla's combat power has reached about Kionzai, but he still can't take Azer. Even under such circumstances, Kefla's figure has gradually become unstable. The time has come, and Kefla and the fusion have reached their peak. It can't be dragged on. Seeing that his own situation was not good, Kefla knew that it was impossible for him to win on behalf of the 6th universe, but she was not reconciled to this failure. Glancing at Aiz, who was not far away, a flash of determination flashed in his eyes and said, Aiz, lend me the last trick. Saying that, Kefla no longer hesitated, raised both hands without hesitation and launched Ki Blast to attack Azer. It is good. Then I'll send Mistress down. Seeing this situation, Aiz also understood that this was the final blow. Without any hesitation, after Azer took a deep breath, he immediately gathered his hands and began to conceive Ki Blast. What? With a low roar resounding, the two Ki Blasts collided in midair. Rumbling, the deafening sound of the explosion resounded, and the entire ring could be clearly seen collapsing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Under such circumstances, both Azer and Kefla did their best. This also caused Azer's power to begin to slow down rapidly, and Kefla's state became more and more bad. 0.7. As time passed, Kefla's figure suddenly split into two. Apparently, the time limit for the battery earrings is up. At this moment, Ki Blast's confrontation also came to an end. Azer's Ki Blast directly destroyed Kefla's final attack. Immediately afterwards, Azer, Kefla and Kia stood on the broken ring, all gasping for breath. The fighting with all their might on both sides has weakened them to the extreme. Even Azer couldn't hold on. After all, he had been injured by Hitt before this ended. We won. 99. On the contrary, Son Goku and others of the 7th universe quietly cheered at this moment. After going through hardships and even nearly a complete failure, the 7th universe finally completed the final turnaround. Chapter 323. Bupa protects the calf. Zeno finally comes. Losing. Kefla lost. We all lost too. On the contrary, the expressions of everyone in the 6th universe at the moment are a little sad. No one expected that things would turn out like this. I thought that Hitt was enough to overcome everything, but he didn't expect Hitt to be defeated. The presence of Kefla here gave them hope. After all, although Azer was powerful, he was also seriously injured. However, the time limit led to the failure of Kefla, and the 6th universe also lost the final chance to make a comeback. Damn. These. Champa looked at Carl and the others on the court in an exasperation. The whole person looked gloomy, and gritted his teeth. You actually lost the game. 99. You actually caused me to lose the bet against Beerus. Damn, you all should be damned. This Gods of Destruction will destroy you completely. At this moment, the aura around Champa was violent, and the purple-black divine power emerged directly into the form of Gods of Destruction. In an instant, Champa's power reached the 13th level. Immediately afterwards, his eyes locked on Hitt and the others, and he stepped forward to attack them. Not good. 20. Seeing this situation, the expressions of Gabe, Carl and others changed drastically. The expressions of everyone including the 7th universe are also extremely ugly. Unexpectedly, after Kefla and others failed, this Champa actually wanted to kill. For a time, Son Goku and the others looked at Beerus subconsciously. After all, the Saiyans of the 6th universe brought them a lot of pressure and fun to fight. If this is killed by Champa like this, they can't help but feel a little disappointed and reluctant. That's the 6th universe thing. I won't interfere. Aware of everyone's gaze, Beerus shrugged his shoulders and said indifferently, as Gods of Destruction, we are the supreme existence of universe. Destroying a planet is a casual thing, killing a few people is nothing. Hearing this, Son Goku and the others couldn't help being silent. Even now, they all understand that they can't persuade Beerus. For a time, everyone in the 7th universe couldn't bear to look at everyone in the 6th universe, but their strength is too weak. Even Azer could not be Champa's opponent at this moment. That 13th order combat power is definitely not something that ordinary people can compete with. Husband. 55. At this time, Kefla and Kyle flew to the area where Bupa was in fear. They didn't expect that Champa would actually want to kill them all, which was not good news for them. No need to worry. Seeing this situation, Bupa smiled indifferently, glanced at the broken ring, and thought to himself, it should be the time for which Zeno to perform next. The existence above the entire universe, how strong Zeno is, I really look forward to it. As soon as he thought of this, Bupa appeared in front of Champa, and said indifferently, Champa, Saiyan, I'll protect you. If you have any opinions, you can have a fight with me. You. Hearing this, Champa raised his brows, his face turned ashen, and he gritted his teeth and said, Damn Saiyan, you are too self-righteous. Do you really think that you can be arrogant and domineering with a little strength? I am the Gods of Destruction, which allows you to be so provocative. If so, then destroy it with you. With that said, Champa raised his hand to act. Seeing this situation, Bupa did not dare to neglect, and immediately activated Ultra Instinct as soon as his mind moved. The silver radiance was bright, and Bupa entered the Ultra Instinct state directly, with his eyes locked on Champa. Once the latter makes a move, he will definitely not hesitate to launch an attack on it without hesitation. Lord Champa. Lord Beerus. At this moment, the voices of Vados and Weiss resounded quietly. Immediately, both Champa and Beerus frowned, subconsciously looking at their angel's eyes with doubts. In this regard, Vados and Weiss did not hesitate, and pointed to the area of the broken ring. Lord Zeno is here. 35. What? Zeno? Hearing this, Beerus and Champa were both shocked. Subconsciously turned his head to look at the area of the broken arena. After seeing Zeno and the two guards standing on the ring, Champa and Beerus instantly burst into cold sweat. Without the slightest hesitation, the two quickly ran to the ring and said, Meet Master Zeno. Meet Master Zeno. Seeing this, Vados and Weiss also went to the ring, including Bupa et al. Meet Zeno-sama. Meet Zeno-sama. Bowing and salute, Bupa and the others did not throw their bodies on the ground. Bupa does not belong to the 12 universe, so it is impossible to respect Zeno. In addition, Son Goku and others don't know what Zeno means, so they don't have much fear. Nodding his head, Zeno glanced at Beerus and Champa, then glanced at everyone present and said, I'm here this time to remind you that as Gods of Destruction, you must not forget your responsibilities, and you must not meet at will. It's not allowed for you to set up the arena without permission to compete this time. 99. I'm so sorry Zeno-sama. 99. Hearing this, Champa and Beerus were completely frightened. 250. If this angers Zeno, they will definitely die. At this time, Weiss and Vados on the side bluntly said, Master Zeno, Master Beerus prefers to sleep rather than complete the destructive duty. 99. Lord Zeno, Lord Champa prefers to eat good food rather than fulfilling Gods of Destruction duties. Weiss. Vados. Hearing this, Beerus and Champa were dumbfounded. Unexpectedly, Vados and Weiss chose to sue Zeno at this time. This is a deadly backstab for them, and even, is that so? After giving Beerus and Champa a thoughtful look, Zeno said flatly, then why don't we just replace the Gods of Destruction in Universe 6 and Universe 7? Master Zeno. Hearing this, Champa and Beerus panicked and looked at Zeno begging. If the latter wipes themselves out, then they will surely die. Alright. Seeing this situation, Zeno smiled happily and said like a child, although it is illegal for you to hold a competition without permission, but I just watched it and it was very interesting. But the battle between the two universe fighters is so exciting. Next time, let's call all the fighters of the universe together for a match. Chapter 324 Son Goku, Zeno's Ingenuity and Wisdom. As soon as these words came out, the expressions of Champa and Beerus changed greatly. The entire universe fighters gather to compete. Doesn't this mean that the 6th and 7th universes still need to compete with the rest of the universe? Most importantly, they all knew that the game Zeno was talking about couldn't be a whim. Even once it fails, it is bound to face extremely serious consequences, and then, really, be able to fight against the powerhouses of the entire universe. At this time, Son Goku stepped out of the crowd in surprise and looked at Zeno with excitement. Son Goku is very much looking forward to being able to fight more powerhouses. Even Vegeta and the others on the side were looking forward to where Zeno was. Shut up, Son Goku, shut up. 35. Seeing this, Beerus was terrified, looked at Son Goku in horror and wanted to scold. He knew what Zeno's so-called game meant. If he didn't agree before, then Zeno wouldn't insist on anything. Maybe he would forget it at that time. But if you agree, the consequences are absolutely unimaginable. You are Son Goku. However, before Beerus could continue to say anything, Zeno's gaze was the first to look at Son Goku. It seems that he quite recognizes the latter, and even remembers his existence. Hey, Master Zeno knows me. Son Goku was also stunned for a moment, not expecting Zeno to say his name at all. After all, he had never seen Zeno before, or even had any interaction with him. However, Zeno didn't answer Son Goku either, pondering a little. What do you think of the All-Universe Conference? 35. It will be fun to fight with all the powerhouses of the universe together. As soon as these words came out, Son Goku didn't care about anything else, and said excitedly, indeed, if all the powerhouses of the universe fight together, it will be extremely interesting. 9. Lord Zeno. Do you really want to hold an all-universe conference? Good. Glancing at Son Goku, Zeno's eyes flashed with admiration. This was something he made up his mind to do. It's just that Beerus and Champa didn't cooperate before, which also caused him to have nothing to do about it. But Son Goku is different. Now that he has cooperated with him, Zeno doesn't need to hesitate. Thinking of this, Zeno immediately said, since you are looking forward to it, then this matter is settled. Real. Great. Hearing this, Son Goku was overjoyed. But the faces of the people around the 6th universe and 7th universe are not very good looking at the moment. Not for anything else. Although everyone was looking forward to it, Zeno and Son Goku's conversation made them feel that something was wrong. This thing seems to be going too well. It can even be said that Son Goku became Zeno's pawn directly. Through his determination, the all-universe conference in Zeno's mouth was immediately settled. It's over. Ruined. Almost instantly, Beerus and Champa's faces turned extremely pale. Now that Zeno has made up his mind, they can't be pretending to be dead. Okay, Zeno, when will it start? 39. At this time, Son Goku nodded stupidly and even asked. Son Goku. Seeing this, Beerus' face changed, and he quickly stepped forward and covered Son Goku's mouth. Immediately afterwards, Beerus looked at Zeno in horror and said, sorry Zeno, there is something wrong with Son Goku's brain. Please forgive me. Not only him, but also Champa nodded. The whole universe convention is already making people nervous, and now Son Goku is still trying to rush. If Zeno has really set a date, there really isn't any wiggle room, not even. Taking a look at Beerus, Zeno didn't care too much. This matter has already been decided, and it is impossible for him to continue to persecute anything. After all, some things don't happen overnight. Thinking of this, Zeno immediately said, I am very happy with this trip. 39. Son Goku, we will be friends from now on. Here's my contact information, and I'll give it to you now. 35. After saying that, he no longer hesitated, and immediately took out a button and threw it to Son Goku. Okay. Seeing this, Son Goku quickly took over the button, and Beerus didn't dare to stop him. After all, this was something Zeno had given him, and if he dared to stop it, the consequences would be disastrous. Very good. Seeing this, Zeno nodded in satisfaction. Immediately, his eyes followed to where Bupa was. For a while, the atmosphere in the arena was dead silent. The people from the 6th universe and the 7th universe went quiet. And Bupa and Broly's faces are also serious at the moment. After all, they do not belong to the existence of the 12 universe, and it is definitely not good news to appear in front of Zeno now. The main thing is that if Zeno is going to work against him, Bupa really isn't a match for the latter. Lord Zeno. After pondering for a while, Bupa stepped forward and clasped his fists in a salute. Although he is not a subordinate of Zeno, he also understands the power and terror of the latter. If he reveals his identity at this time, or if Zeno discovers his origin, it is absolutely extremely dangerous. Nodding his head, Zeno withdrew his scrutiny and said, are you interested in being my bodyguard? 39. I have felt your power, stronger than Beerus, and they are fully qualified to be my escort. What? Zeno guards. Hearing this, everyone present exclaimed in surprise, especially Beerus. His expression was even more impatience at this moment. He knew, to Zhao's, that Bupa's origin was unknown. Under such circumstances, once the latter became Zeno's guard, it would inevitably lead to bad consequences. Sorry, Zeno-sama. He refused without hesitation, but Bupa was relieved at the moment. The latter did not recognize himself. This also means that he is not in any major danger. Thinking of this, Bupa said immediately, I have no intention of being your escort yet. 35. Although he refused, Bupa was determined. In case Zeno gets mad, that's not a good thing. The most important thing is that Bupa originally thought Zeno was just a fool, but from his conversation with Son Goku just now, and his dominance of the opening of the universe conference, Bupa has understood that Zeno is definitely not as simple as it seems. Even to say something unpleasant, this Zeno definitely has the scheming, surrender and means to truly control the 12th universe. Chapter 325 Refused Zeno Invitation, Terrified Gods of Destruction. That's it. Looking at Bupa with some disappointment, Zeno said, it would be a pity if your power is not my escort. But since you don't plan to be my escort now, then I don't force anything. If you change your mind, you can tell me, and then I will arrange for you to be a guard and receive blessings. Blessed? Hearing this, Bupa raised his brows, and there was a hint of doubt in his eyes. What Zeno's so-called blessing was, he didn't know, but since the latter can be said, it means that this blessing is definitely not simple. Thank you Zeno-sama. Holding a fist and salute, Bupa did not ask any further questions, but changed the subject. If I want to be your escort in the future, I will definitely tell you right away. $7. Hearing this, Zeno nodded in satisfaction. Immediately afterwards, Zeno no longer hesitated, stretched out his hand and said, if so, then I should also leave. Beerus, Champa, you must fulfill your duties as gods of destruction. 35. Yes, Master Zeno. Yes, Master Zeno. Hearing this, Champa and Beerus didn't dare to neglect. They hurriedly bowed and saluted with extremely nervous expressions. Immediately afterwards, the two guards no longer hesitated, and stepped forward to grab 273 and hold Zeno. With the brilliance of colors, Zeno's figure disappeared in this area. Seeing this situation, Beerus, Champa and the others all breathed a sigh of relief, including Bupa is no exception. To be honest, in the face of Zeno, his inner pressure is also extremely huge. Once it is known that he does not belong to the 12 universe, it will inevitably cause serious consequences. But okay, Zeno's mind was on the whole universe conference, and he didn't want to track down Bupa's intentions. Fortunately, Bupa didn't shoot, otherwise, once Zeno's interest in him would be huge. The consequences are absolutely unimaginable, and may even reveal their origins. Son Goku. 35. After Zeno left, Beerus looked at Son Goku angrily and said coldly, how dare you talk to Lord Zeno indiscriminately? 35. Don't you know the horror of Zeno-sama? Once that all-universe conference does start, we're all going to be in big trouble. 35. What? Hearing this, the expressions of everyone present changed greatly. Although they have seen some problems with Zeno's enthusiasm for the whole universe conference before, but don't know what it means. But now Beerus is so terrified as gods of destruction, which shows that this matter should not be underestimated. For a time, everyone's breathing became a little depressed, and they even felt panic from their hearts. Master Beerus. Subconsciously, Son Gohan stepped forward and asked, dare to ask your lord, what danger is there in this whole universe conference? 35. As soon as these words came out, the eyes of the people present also followed to look at the people not far away. The danger of death. Glancing at Son Gohan, Beerus said angrily, once you provoke Lord Zeno, you will most likely die. And it's fine if one person dies, but if Zeno-sama is angry, it can even wipe out a universe in an instant. In the past, Lord Zeno had 18 universes under his command, but 6 of them were because they angered Lord Zeno, which led to Lord Zeno erasing them completely. Under such circumstances, no one can stop Zeno-sama's determination and strength. The most important thing is that under such circumstances, our universe may be completely obliterated if we are not careful. 5. Hiss. After listening to Beerus' words, everyone present couldn't help taking a deep breath. Everyone including the 6th universe is no exception. Erase. Once provoked, Zeno will actually be wiped out. When Zeno pushed for the all-universe conference, and Son Goku agreed to it, doesn't it mean that if there is a problem, then you and others will be in danger? Thinking of this, everyone panicked. Lord Beerus, it shouldn't be like this. Son Goku opened his mouth subconsciously and said incredulously. He had seen Zeno before and thought the latter was extremely kind, not even threatening. But judging from Beerus' words, Zeno is nothing but an existence that destroys the world. Humphrey. With a cold snort, Beerus glanced at Son Goku angrily and said, you'd better hope it doesn't happen. It's better that Zeno-sama forget about this whole universe conference. 35. If not, then if there is a problem, then you Son Goku will be the sinner of the whole universe. In the 12 universes, everyone will be hostile to you and hostile to the 7th universe. As soon as these words came out, the audience fell silent. Everyone understood the seriousness of the matter, including Son Goku is no exception. He had never imagined that his smug words would cause such serious consequences. For a time, Son Goku's expression changed, and he stood in the same place and was overwhelmed. All right. Okay. 95. At this moment, Champa on the side quietly clapped his hands, and then said, now is not the time to talk about this. Beerus, you have to give me a reasonable explanation for what happened in the 7th universe. 35. Vados, take someone back with me immediately. 35. Regardless of whether the Universal Conference will open or not, for the future of my 6th universe, we must prepare as soon as possible. 99. Immediately afterwards, Champa seemed to have thought of something, and then looked at Kefla and the others and said, and you. It's okay to fail this time. But if you are failing at the next all-universe conference, then I will destroy you personally. Yes. 35. Yes. Hearing this, Kefla and the others also nodded. They could also see the seriousness of this matter, and under such circumstances, they did not dare to refute Champa. Immediately, a group of people no longer hesitated, and left the place in a hurry following Vados and Champa. Because of Zeno, and the possibility of an all-universe convention, Kefla and Kyle don't even bother to live with Bupa. In the blink of an eye, the people of the 6th universe left the area in a hurry. After their figures disappeared, Beerus' face also became serious. As Champa said, he also had to prepare for the all-universe conference. Once Zeno really opens the all-universe conference, the 7th universe must have enough warriors. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. And join my Patreon if you want to support me, link is in the description. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.